Hey guys, happy early Let's Get Shenmue 4 day. We're going one day early. Lots of things going on at the weekend, so James and I are not around. But I hope you're all doing well. James, man, how you doing as always?
Hey Matt, I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah,
Bet you can
busy
hear my
tomorrow,
dog.
anniversary.
My dog's just gone off. Fireworks are kicking off, so my dog's just woken
He's
up.
going nuts into fireworks.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
apologies,
couldn't do him
guys.
myself personally, mate.
Hopefully not, but
Yep.
apologies, guys, if you hear my dog going mental. He doesn't hate fireworks. He just barks at everything. But we'll let him get on with it.
I'm sure he
Let's
must
go.
hate fireworks. Like my dogs. Well, actually, there's only one of my dogs that hates fireworks. He gets a bit scared by them. The other two just ignore them. So
Mine will bark at anything anyway. So start hearing fire. There's a display about 2 miles up the road from us. But there we are.
I've currently got some calming music on for them.
He's gone quiet now. Hopefully that'll be all right for now. So yeah, apologies. My dog's barking as we go. He's sat up with me because the wife is out and I need to keep an eye on him. Right, so let's go through chat very quickly. I can see Ginger's in. I can see Reynolds is in. DJ Mexicano's in. Ryoki is in. I could see Retro Godfather's in. William Lovering is in. George Kitchen is in. and Sean Hastings is in as well, guys. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to... Actually, George, you timed this very well, actually. You couldn't have timed this any better if you tried. We're going to go through the news section. And I'm going to open the news section up. Hey, Cyberfear, welcome in. I'm going to open the news section up with a nice trailer. A Shenmue story by George Kitchen. I'm sure you guys have all seen this already. But if you haven't... I'm going to pop the trailer up for everybody to have a watch right now, and then James will have a quick chat about it. So here it comes.
Hot dog, an L-Blaze bromine. It's Hornet from Daytona.
In China, my name was Su Jianmen.
Get ready.
There we go, guys. Shenmue Spirit in everything there, coming on the 15th of December. James, what are your thoughts?
Looks bloody brilliant, doesn't it? It's definitely something, mate. This is something. Yeah, it looks really cool. I love all of the little mini games and stuff that are gonna go on in there. It looks like a lucky hit fan's dream in there, and it looks like there's so much going on. I like what's going on with the cutscenes, people tripping up and slipping up in the snow, running into lampposts and being tossed over in the pool hall. Looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks very, very good. There will be, I hope, some more little teasers and bits and pieces coming out from George over the next few weeks. James and I are going to stream it as part of our Christmas stream, probably on the 22nd of December, so the week after it comes out, most likely. But yeah, really looking forward to that. It's definitely one to keep your eyes out for. So, James, moving on. Yu Suzuki's in Italy. What's he doing there?
Oh, I don't know, Matt. What is he just getting a pizza, perhaps, from Bob's Pizzas? Don't know. What else could he be doing? in Italy. Well,
No idea.
what he was doing is visiting a game convention called Luca Games. And he actually did a live stream yesterday, which we did manage to record the VOD of, and potentially releasing that tomorrow. It's not translated, although YouTube has got some sort of like auto translator that sort of does a little bit of the Italian. So if you want to sit through there and kind of understand it slightly, unless of course you know Italian or Japanese, even better, I suppose. If you can read Japanese, maybe you can translate it for us, or someone like Switch might end up translating it at some point, which would be cool. Yeah, so that's what he did yesterday, and I think you said he was there till the 6th, Matt, right?
Yeah, that's right. So he's there for most of the conference. So he obviously did the VOD yesterday, or the video interview yesterday, which sort of got dropped on us. You messaged me going, he's on Twitch. I'm going, what? What?
It just happened, didn't it? Yeah. Well, it was the Wisenet account just literally just tweeted live now, and you click on it, and he'd already been live for like 10 minutes. A little bit would have been nice to have a little bit more heads up on that one, but really cool. Quite a lot of interviews with him recently. Obviously, we're going to get into a really big one in a moment, but does he have any other plans in Luca Games for the next couple of days? Do we know, or is it literally?
Nothing's really been said. It's all been quite quiet as to what he's doing, when he's doing it. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Really couldn't tell you. Hopefully, he's out there schmoozing with some publishers and getting Shenmue 4, 5, 0, and then the remakes and everything sorted. But
that would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, because I don't know if he's actually showing off Air Twister at this event. I don't know. Has anyone actually been to this Luca Games in the chat? Maybe not.
In games are there because they were tweeting from it.
They are there. Okay, well that's fair enough then. So that's probably what he's doing.
But there we
showing
are.
off Air Twister and T, which is out on the 10th, guys. So make sure you grab that. Grab the strictly limited collector's edition as well, because that's such a cool set, and potentially signed by you, Suzuki, right? I mean, I don't know if it's actually is signed or it's a print of his signature, but potentially an actual signature. You never know.
Still good. And that sort of segues us in, I think, to the Air Twister coverage, which we're going to be sort of coming out with in the next week. So on November the 6th, there will be a full written review of Air Twister. I have taken on the PC version. James has taken on the Nintendo Switch version. That'll be coming out on the 6th. I haven't got the time for the embargo lift yet, but as soon as we do, I imagine we'll publish that review ASAP. We're also going to do a video review a few days later for everybody. So if you want to see the game in action, and James and I talking about it, there it is. And also on release day on the 10th. So in actual fact, in a week's time, I will be back with James, and we'll be playing some Air Twister live on stream as well with the Steam PC version. So lots of coverage of Air Twister. Hopefully, people pick it up and enjoy it. I've had good fun with it.
Yeah, me too, man. And well, I've been playing it for a year on the bloody Apple Arcade, and such a great game. We have got, if anyone's interested, I've even got Twitch up on my PC, where it would be handy to copy and paste these links. Just hold on a second, guys. But we have got articles on the main site from Flagship, who actually attended Gamescom this year and visited the In Games booth, where he managed to sit down, have an interview with Simon Krinkle, who works for In Games there. So you can check that article out after the stream tonight if you haven't read that yet. Really good interview. And he also managed to do hands-on with Air Twister. So if you want some early thoughts and feelings on Air Twister, I think Flagship played the Switch version, am I right? Or was it the PS5 version?
I thought it was PS5, but I could be wrong.
Can't quite remember, but check those articles out. And if you're excited for Air Twister, why not? Make sure you grab it on the 10th, either digitally or physically. Quickly, Matt, I'll just mention the Edge magazine, because this happened sort of in between this stream and the previous stream. Shenmue made the list of the top 100 games over the last 30 years. This is within like Edge's timeline of game coverage was the actual protocol for that, which is why I think potentially like the first Sonic game isn't there or something like that, just outside that 30-year sort of history. But it is annoying that there's no Sonic games in there, but we are talking about Shenmue, and Shenmue came, and I forgot where it came, Matt, because you didn't write the rankings. Okay, 63rd out of 100, which, I mean, it's amazing that it made the top 100 still. It's not too bad. And I think it's the highest rated Sega game or the second highest rated Sega game.
Something like that, yeah. It's done pretty well.
Something like that. With some big names below it and some lesser names above it, kind of. But that is what it is. It's a personal opinion, I suppose. And yeah, it's good that we get in. What am I linking here? So, oops. That's your 30 years, 100 games list from Edge. Last news piece, Matt, is it?
Whoa. Trying to think if there's anything else that we've missed and haven't covered. But I don't think there is. So I'm going to segue us in to the mainstream itself and I think probably the opening discussion for the night. And it's a biggie. It's a definitely biggie. Obviously, on Wednesday, the new Yu Suzuki interview was released with Ezra Krabe from IGN and IGN Japan, documenting 40 years of Yu Suzuki. But there are some very interesting points in there. He talks about Shenmue 4, which we know he wants to do. But the biggest, probably, sort of curtain raiser, if you like, or piece de resistance is he wants to do, or he's thinking about doing, a Shenmue 0. James, we've talked about this at length, obviously, privately, but what's your take on this? What's your take on the interview? And could Shenmue 0 work? Take it away.
My take on the interview is it's just amazing. I mean, it's covering Yu Suzuki's 40-year history. So from his early roots working with Sega, obviously Outrun, Space Harrier, the classic titles there, Virtua Fighter. It goes into a lot of detail, actually, on some of the mechanics that they managed to implement to get around some of the sort of the lesser technical hardware that they had at the time. So they sort of like cut corners to make stuff amazing on that hardware. He also talks about Shenmue in terms of like some of the things that they used for that as well to sort of get that to work and run successfully on a Dreamcast. Using procedurally generated things. We already know about the magic maze, the magic, weather and that sort of stuff. But one of the interesting things that he did mention was the conversations, actually, because there's so many different variations of conversation in Shenmue. You go around, you talk to a character, go back to them, talk to them again. They sort of give you the same answer, but it's worded differently. You know, it's very natural, and it was interesting to actually hear that the way that they got around that and produced that kind of thing is to sort of have variations of words that it's sort of intelligently picking to form some of these sentences. So one of the examples he gives, if I can find it, is "I go to Yokohama" was like one of the quotes he's given here. Can be replaced, or I can be replaced with you, he, she. Yokohama can be replaced to Kawasaki. Go can be eat, for example, and he's saying that because of all these different variations, that's how they managed to implement so much conversation in Shenmue 1 and keep it very natural and always feeling like every time you speak to a character, they've got something new to say, which is really cool, actually, to sort of hear about how the technical side of how they produce that sort of stuff. Then it gets into a little bit on Shenmue 3, Shenmue 4, which we'll mention a little bit later, but like this talking point that Matt's saying about Shenmue 0, which kind of takes you by surprise, and the fact that Yu Suzuki's actually been actively thinking about it. He's got ideas for what he wants to do. He says he can't go into detail at the moment, but it's something I've been thinking about. He's thinking of recreating the streets of Dobuita with modern visuals on a new engine. He thinks that alone will make it worth doing. And because he mentioned about how games he thinks, because they were kind of talking, I don't think Yu Suzuki actually referenced things like Starfield and, you know, massive open world games like that. I think it's Ezra that sort of gives them as examples, but Yu Suzuki talks about how open world games are just becoming huge for huge's sake, kind of. And he's said in the past, like, he'd love to make a game in such a tight, confined area, like a train, for example. He was one of the examples. He says he'd make a whole game in the confines of a train, and it's still open world because technically the world is the train, I guess. It doesn't need to be massive. So that point he sort of brings into the implementation he wants to do with a Shenmue Zero, where he's saying he's not thinking of like expanding to perhaps like the whole of Yokosuka. He wants to focus more on Dobuita and flesh Dobuita out and sort of create a brand new prequel story in Dobuita. So whatever that means, I'm not quite sure. What his actual thinking is there. Perhaps it's sounding like it's going to be from the perspective of Ryo, if it's set in Dobuita, perhaps like a younger Ryo, because I'd have thought if it was like what we've spoken about in the past, about like a WoW story, then that would potentially be taking place in Guilin or whatever, or China, Hong Kong, etc. Which he might do. I don't know. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's what is his actual plan, do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be flitting between sort of Rio's current day in Dobuita and then a WoW's past. I think for me, and this is just my personal opinion, I think it needs to focus in on a WoW a little bit, unless you really drop into sort of Rio's relationship with his father and sort of go into the really intricate details around that, so you build that connection there, so that maybe you end it. And this is me hypothesizing, going down a sort of a rabbit hole, if you like. Is actually you end it at the point a WoW dies.
Ooh, okay. See, I hadn't thought about that. My thinking, and I mentioned it to you, was like build up such a relationship with his father that when if you are a new player to the series, you play Shenmue Zero first, kind of like what people did with the Yakuza series. They played Yakuza Zero first to get into the story, then went 1, 2, 3, etc. If people get into Shenmue from a Shenmue Zero, Shenmue 1's introduction then takes a whole new meaning, really, doesn't it? Because if you've spent a whole game creating this bond with Ryo's father and sort of becoming attached to this character who then suddenly dies at the start of Shenmue 1, to a new player, that might actually trigger an emotional sort of impact to seeing like such an iconic character just suddenly killed off. And then it could also add credence to the way that Ryo feels and how strongly and passionately he is in terms of going on this sort of revenge hunt. If they can nail the emotion there, because when we first played Shenmue 1, you don't really have that emotional attachment to a WoW, do you? He dies, and then you sort of become familiar with Ryo, and you embody Ryo at that point, if you know what I mean. It's a sad moment for Ryo, but as a player, you don't really feel that emotional bond because you haven't spent any time with that character. So I think that could be something that they could actually look into developing.
This is just an idea that's popped into my head because Renner's mentioned the letter that WoW wrote. Can you imagine if WoW was writing that letter through the game?
Yeah.
So and as he writes it, you then have cutscenes and flashbacks and things with Ryo and a WoW in China, sort of thinking back to all those things. So it all feeds into that central point around the letter, but you have all this stuff around it that builds a relationship, goes into the past, and then sets things up potentially. I'm just spitballing. It's a massive risk because if it doesn't succeed, we are screwed. We will not get a Shenmue 4. That's it. It's game over. But if it's successful, and it is high risk, high reward, if it is successful, we're made, aren't we? We'll get Shenmue 4, 5, and everything else in between, won't we? But I think James Rayner said it in chat. If we could only have one more game, it'd have to be Shenmue 4.
Yeah. That's true. It's just, it comes with that risk, doesn't it? Like you were saying in your video the other day, Matt, that risk-reward factor. If potentially Shenmue Zero hits it off, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination expecting it to hit off as successfully as Yakuza has. But if we could even get a quarter of the success that got from having this sort of prequel chapter to get players into the series, then, potentially you could fund a 4 and a 5 out of that. I mean, I'm a little bit more optimistic in terms of like even if Shenmue Zero is just a sort of like an okay release, and I'm still quite hopeful for Shenmue 4. Like I wouldn't completely write it off, but I do understand where you're coming from in terms of like a publisher's not going to want to touch a Shenmue 4 if another Shenmue game is, failed almost. But me being me, optimistic, I'm always hopeful that with
me,
Yu Suzuki wanting it himself as well.
For me, it has to be an 8 out of 10 minimum game. Shenmue 3 is a 7 out of 10 game, pretty much. But a 0 or even a 4 has to knock it out the park, I think, to get people involved and people wanting to play it as well. And it's a hard ask to get a publisher to go in on it, but, I mean, if he's thinking about this idea, he obviously has a plan for what he intends to do with it. I just don't know what that plan is.
Yeah, and so if you could go on to the Shenmue 4 idea he has, where he's saying that he doesn't particularly think it's viable for newcomers to the series to, I guess, play 1, 2, 3 before 4 and try and learn the story. He mentions he doesn't think that a new player wants to know 100% of the story. 20 or 30% could be enough, he says. And then obviously he mentions that they did a digest movie at the start of Shenmue 3, which was to be expected to sort of condense the story points that happened in the first two games. But for Shenmue 4, he wants to try and incorporate that into the main game with playable flashbacks. And now if he does create a Shenmue 0 first, and potentially does the ideas that we've come up with, Matt, where he's redesigned a Dobuita, maybe he has created certain parts of China again, Guilin. Obviously, they've already got Bailey Village as easily accessible because they created it already in Shenmue 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they can utilize everything they create in Shenmue 0 and what they created in Shenmue 3 to create these playable flashbacks, I think that could work really well, and that could be his thinking. He could be thinking like, I would like to implement a playable flashback of perhaps Ryo heading back home, seeing the WoW fight with Landy at the start of the game, maybe a flashback later with Master Chen and Guizhang, for example. So in his head, if he creates a Shenmue 0 first and recreates these areas, he can then use those areas that he created in that game to add easy content to Shenmue 4, potentially.
They have to build it off of Shenmue 3's engine. Regardless of what they do first, they need to build it off the Shenmue 3 engine. Potentially port it into Unreal 5, but they don't need to mess about, in my opinion, with a new engine or building an engine from scratch. Don't bother. Use what you got, because actually, you look at the environments and everything here, it's lovely. It's beautiful. I mean, look at that Shenmue tree.
It looks stunning, mate. The environments in Shenmue 3 are absolutely nailed on. The character models, for me, could do with a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
Which
we know.
I think Ryo definitely needs an upgrade, in my opinion. Personally.
But I mean, I guess from reading, like, what I've seen on social media and things, people are up for a Shenmue 0. It's just whether it comes before 4, I think, is the biggest issue, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you're saying, like if they create them both simultaneously, then that's quite a big risk as well, isn't it? Because then they're sort of splitting the team, I guess, who are working on different titles at the same time. It's going to take maybe longer to create both games, and your publisher or whatever's pushing up the money for two games at the same sort of time. Like, what sort of a budget are we talking about here? Don't know.
Like, for two games, you're going to need $30 million minimum, in my opinion.
You were saying that, like 15 million each, yeah.
Yeah, bearing in mind Shenmue 3 was 20, but obviously a lot of the groundwork's been done. But yeah, I mean,
See, I think they could probably get away with like 10 million each. I mean, if you think all the way back to the Kickstarter, he was willing to create Shenmue 3 on 2 million budget.
true.
Obviously, I don't know how that would have come off like, but let me sort of catch up with some of the chat guys. I've been ignoring the chat a little bit for the most part. Ryoki, shout out to anyone who used to be on the original Shenmue Dojo forum. Nice to see you, if you are one of those people. George Kitchen just joined for the attention, he said.
Just
He
a
didn't.
quick shout,
He didn't join for the attention.
Daily Gaming Videos dropped us a sub, so thank you very much.
I need to do that, actually.
You haven't missed much, Sharp Darth. We've been going about half an hour max, so you haven't missed very much at all. You've got plenty of stream to go, so don't panic about that. Why are we mentioning Shenmue 0? Well, see, that's the bit you did miss, unfortunately, is Yu Suzuki had an interview on Wednesday with IGN. James has just popped that in the chat there, where he talks about having the idea, potentially, of doing a Shenmue 0. Hey, Master Mo, welcome in as well.
Cool, James Rain has pre-ordered the collector's edition of Air Twister. Which I should probably link that as well, actually. Let me link that. So in case you didn't know, obviously you can pick the game up on things like Amazon or whatever, like the standard release of Air Twister. But if you want a nice fancy collector's edition, this is going to be your go-to website for that. I've pre-ordered a PS5 version. It comes with quite a lot of stuff. So let me sort of go through this. So it comes with, obviously, the collector's edition box itself, which has got nice artwork on. It comes with a fully colourful manual, or a full coloured manual is what I was trying to say. The game itself, obviously, with a reversible sleeve, comes with an art book, a bio booklet of Yu Suzuki biography. Not quite sure what's going to be in there. Possibly some of his previous works and a bit of history. Probably some Shenmue stuff in there. So if you are a Shenmue collector, there might be something in there possibly related to Shenmue. And you should be picking this up anyway if you're a Shenmue fan.
Yeah.
It comes with an autographed card. Whether or not that is an actual hand-signed autograph, if it is, then this is worth bloody €70 instantly. It comes with a 2-disc soundtrack set, which is different artwork to the previously released Japanese soundtrack. So if you're a collector, that's another chance to get the soundtrack. And it's got what looks to be hand-signed as well. One of those gold card things that they used for the Kickstarter. It looks like, get mine down. Oh, it looks like they're still using this. Is that on camera? Is that on camera, Mark? I can't really see.
Yeah, it's on camera.
Yeah, it's got this gold-edged card that they must have put a massive bulk order in for, and they've still got a mountain of of those in a warehouse somewhere, perhaps. It looks like they've used something like that, some sort of card like that, to print off a picture of Princess Arch. And yeah, again, it looks hand-signed, so whether or not remains to be seen. Great little package, actually. You guys want to support that? Every little helps.
Pick up some bits on chat very quickly. Vilma Lazzarini, will Shenmue the Animation Season 2 come back? Never say never, but I would argue that you've got more chance of getting essentially Shenmue 4
Shenmue 0
or Shenmue 0 at this point.
Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass, but it's unfortunately what it is.
But they are stuck in the cave, aren't they? So we have technically got to wait 18 years for them to get out of the cave. So
And it doesn't mean
potentially in
another
18
company
years' time.
couldn't pick it up or something, but it's
Yeah.
I would hedge your bets more on a game than I would the anime season 2, which is really unfortunate because they were going into pre-production for that. It was happening. It was happening. You guys know if the Switch version of Air Twister has touch controls? It does. I'm allowed to confirm that because Suzuki told us that in the interview we did. So
Yeah.
we can talk about that. It does. So there we go. Lots of new names in tonight, actually, as well. I can Sarpdarth I haven't seen before. Vilma I haven't seen before. Great to see newbies dropping in, either finding us for the first time or coming back to the series or whatever. But it's good to have you guys in. And the reason we're streaming, albeit we normally stream on the 4th of every month, is for hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4, hashtag Shenmue Anime 2. Get out there tomorrow on Twitter, or X as they call it now, and show your support for the Shenmue series. And don't go quiet, because that's the worst thing we can do now.
Especially with talks of a forward of 0 DL.
That should get people
Show you
hyped.
Suzuki, like, yeah, this is what we want. We might have to come up with one for Shenmue 0 now.
Hashtag Shenmue prequel was one.
That was good, actually. I did like that one. Hashtag Shenmue prequel.
You've been checking out our videos.
Another new name. Oh, bro. Another new name in the chat, AM2 Model 3.
Brilliant.
Is that a new one? A little bit earlier. I'm just going through some of the chat. Retro Godfather asked, had we tried the turbo mode on Air Twister? I tried it on the Apple Arcade back in the day. I think it's just 2 times speed.
Yeah, I tried it on
faster.
PC, but yeah, it was good. I've got to be careful what I say because it's under embargo.
I was going to say, yeah. Pre-ordered the Air Twister physical, AM2 Model 3S. It's cool. Renner says there's pros and cons to Shenmue 0. What are your pros and cons then, Renners? And that goes for anyone else in the chat. What are your feelings on this whole Shenmue 0 debate?
Yeah.
What would you like to see? And yeah, what do you think the negatives of releasing Shenmue 0 might be? Is it literally just because it sort of could potentially jeopardize Shenmue 4 and beyond, like Matt says, if it doesn't do well? Or is there some sort of a negative just to the fact that being Shenmue 0? I mean, for me, they may have to come up with a different name because instantly I can see the Yakuza fans and people like that making a bit of a joke about, you know, Shenmue sort of now following Yakuza's footsteps rather than the other way around. So
yeah, you could see that happening, which is it's bound.
I do like the name Shenmue prequel, perhaps, but then again, it needs to be something that is instantly, this is a jumping in point. Like prequel should, in theory, be that word, right? But I also feel like, do kids even know what that word means on paper? When you read a Shenmue 0, it's very obvious in it.
Yeah.
Shenmue prequel. I'm not sure if that instantly screams, oh, this is like the first chapter. I don't know.
What about Shenmue, A WoW's Journey, or something like that?
Yeah, but then again, you're sort of confusing people, aren't you? It's like, where does this fit in the whole storyline? It was like when the anime was released, I saw people saying like, do I need to have played the first 2 games first? And it's like, no, the anime is the first 2 games.
Oh, that's
it's
good.
It needs to be very obvious, doesn't it?
Ryoki said Shenmue Origins.
That's a cool name.
Yeah,
I like
quite
that.
like that.
Yeah.
I could go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just picking up some others. I'm going way back now in the chat before we get back down to some of the others. AMT podcast. I don't know if it's Andrew or Matt's dropped in and has questioned whether we could set up a Shenmue council and potentially look to acquire the IP through venture capitalist company from Sega, because Sega are doing bugger all with it, aren't they?
What? How much will that cost?
I don't know. How much is a
How does that
Shenmue IP worth? That's a good question. I don't even know how much the IP's worth.
How does that go about though? Because like people have obviously had to do that in the past for getting, say, the anime released, produced,
And would that stop
and Shenmue 3 of course.
Yu Suzuki doing anything with it?
I'm pretty sure whatever Shenmue wise, Yu Suzuki can just make, can't he? But he doesn't need any particular IP in this sort of a style, like, you know, building a council to sort of do it or whatever. Like Yu Suzuki could just phone Sega up surely, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he could. Ah, that's what I'm doing. I do like Shenmue Origins as a name though.
That's
That could
cool,
work.
So William said a little while ago, because I'm still quite a ways up in the chat here, so he said, I think Yakuza 0 worked because Kiwami was already in place. So I think the same should be for Shenmue. So he's sort of suggesting there that for a 0 to work, potentially need a remake as well. Ready to go, if you know what I mean.
That's a massive ask. I don't think that'll happen. Hey Andy, you alright, man? I guess the way you could do it, actually, bundle the Shenmue 1 and 2, what they are now, with Shenmue 0.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That is a really good idea, actually.
Bundle it, like, because if they're going to sell a game at $60, right, and they can get away with it with Sega, why not bundle those two in? You get 3 games for $60? Come on, that's not bad.
Mad, isn't it?
I'm not saying they'll do it,
that's
but
a cracking idea.
why not?
I think the way that it sounds from Yu Suzuki's point of view is,
Excuse me.
he's creating a 0 and a 4, and in 4 he's creating playable flashbacks of things that happened in 1, 2, and 3. So I think in his head, and the way he's worded this in the interview, he could be thinking like, players only need to play the new games. They only need to play 0 and then 4. They can skip 1, 2, and 3 because if they just play 4, I'm going to give them the story beats. And I'm assuming like 0, like if it does cover some of a WoW's journey, that'll sort of bring the context to the mirrors and, you know, what the WoW's involvement was with all that sort of stuff. So it could work in a sense. I'm sure he's got plans in place beyond just these initial thoughts.
I'm
if
sure
you know what I mean.
I'm
It must
sure
be something,
has.
some sort of a meat to what he's talking about here in his head.
I'm sure he has. And actually, sort of diverting off, we're talking about plans. He has confirmed that he's working on a new game as well. We don't know what it is, but he's working on a new game.
That'd be interesting. I mean, you'd feel like it's going to be like another smaller arcadey sort of type game. And I think in some of like his yearly reviews, he was mentioning. I'm sure we mentioned at one point like a red Ferrari, another racing type game again.
I'm sure he has, yeah.
Yeah. Which would be cool. He could be going through his classics, his Space Harrier, he's reinvented his Air Twister. Outrun he could reinvent as some, you know, driving game. Afterburner, maybe he's thinking about doing a aircraft simulation game or something, you never know. Retro Photo says, if there were unlimited funds available and no problem getting a publisher, then yes, but it's risky otherwise, I guess.
It is risky. I think Retro and I were talking, we obviously, a few of us went to EGX, and Retro Godfather was with us at EGX, and we were talking about Shenmue 4 and sort of how they need to demonstrate, even with Shenmue 0 in fairness, it could apply. It's essentially how they're going to make money. How are they going to make money off the Shenmue series? What is the plan? That's what they need to show, because they're not going to need a massive budget if they use the Shenmue 3 engine, or at least parts of it. It's not going to need to be insane. But it's still a
Doesn't
big
need to be like Sega with a super game.
Watch that bankrupt Sega. Hey, Kenzo, man. Hope you're well, buddy.
Hey Kenzo.
But yeah, it's...
Excited to play Kowloon in Unreal Engine. That would be cool.
Ooh.
Depends how much of that they're gonna remake, because at that point then they could make a Shenmue remake if they're recreating every environment for the sake of a playable cutscene.
They could. But alright then, just for ease in chat, right guys. Drop us a comment if you think Shenmue 0 is a good idea, yes or no. I know it's a very black and white idea, I'm just trying to get a sort of a gauge of what the feeling is.
I put a yes. Retrogopher says perhaps Shenmue 4 is secure, and that's why he's talking about a 0.
So we've got a yes from Skill, we've got a no from Lawrence. Andy is saying yes. Any game, it's a good idea, Kenzo. Nostalgia is saying it's a good idea. Sean is a cautious idea. Retro saying yes, but after 4 and maybe 5. Okay, this is sort of what I was seeing in social media.
I mean, technically, or whatever, the most logical thing would be that, wouldn't it? Like a 4, 5, and then a 0. But he must be sort of edging his bet in terms of like, if I do the 0 now and it does well, then that sort of guarantees a 4 and a 5. Because, like you said, Matt, you've still got that. If he creates a 4, there's still that niggle of, and if that doesn't do well, then we might not get a Shenmue 5, which, if that's like the ending chapter. So maybe Shenmue 0, because of the accuser model and that sort of stuff, could be a way to guarantee a 4 and a 5. I don't know. Difficult, isn't it?
It's very split. Just look, I do think it's leaning towards a 0 in the chat, which is fine. Yeah, cool. I'm just interested to know what people think. I'm cautious about it. I'm very cautious, but I'm one of these people that I have to look at every
let me ask you this.
detail.
Let me ask you this, Matt.
Go on then.
Someone that's never heard of Shenmue before, and they see a game that pop up on a store or in a shop or whatever, are they more likely to pick it up because it says Shenmue 0 on the cover, or Shenmue 4? I think Shenmue 0.
That's a good question, and do you know what? I probably tend to agree with you. As long as they market it the right way, it's go Shenmue 0, the prequel, or whatever, or Shenmue Origins, whatever you want to call it, to...
Yeah. Because that is the worry, isn't it? That the 4 is putting people off from playing it. Because, like what he's saying, people don't, especially with the glut of games that we've got at the moment, are people going to want to sit through a 1, 2, and 3 to understand the story in a story-based series? So you can understand the thinking.
I can understand it. Like I said, it's... I tell you what's exciting though, the fact that he's clearly thinking about this and has some sort of idea what he wants to do, whatever that may be.
Yeah, Nick Hughes, I don't know if you read this, Matt, but for Shenmue 0 they would have to be sure that they have a strong, worthwhile story in mind and be careful not to tread on the plot of future games. And that is the balance that... Yeah, that's the balance we've sort of weighed up ourselves when we've spoken about it. Like, you want to sort of still leave it open-ended. If they are going to cover a WoW's journey in a Shenmue 0 where he goes to China, maybe you see that relationship forming with Zhao Siming or whatever, and so maybe even like what caused shit to go down, but then end it there, so it still leaves it open-ended. And then, like you said, Matt, which would be cool. So say if Iwao's bringing the mirrors home from the Cliff Temple. Maybe he was at the Cliff Temple. He took the mirrors. He takes them home. You see him digging in under the cherry tree. You see him in the basement, and then it like the credits roll or whatever, and then people start up Shenmue 4, and it continues off on Ryo's journey to the Cliff Temple with the mirrors. I know he doesn't have either mirror, but that's where they're going to end up. Then that's sort of a cool thing. So they've come from the Cliff Temple, and now in Shenmue 4, they're going back to the Cliff Temple. So, that could be a really good plot line, how they link a 0 and a 4 together without people having to play a 1, 2, and 3 if that's his concern.
Andy makes a good point, actually, as well, as how's it going to be funded? Now, I talked in a video that this is very theoretical, that Shenmue 4 had been like partially developed to a point where it was nearly ready. Would a Kickstarter be viable? And actually, a lot of people were up for that idea, which surprised me. Actually, I thought there'd be much more of a negative perception around the Kickstarter. A Kickstarter for a game from the ground up, I think, is a harder ask. I think he'd be trying to go through traditional methods first. Not to say he couldn't, but I'm very torn on a Kickstarter. I don't know.
I think Kickstarter would instantly have some sort of a negative outcry from the media and stuff like that. Wouldn't it? Instantly, he's like, "Oh, Yu Suzuki's after more money again."
We'll have to see.
Welcome in, Abdullah, by the way, if he didn't greet you a little bit ago. Still catching up with the chat.
And actually, a point made further up was, Yu Suzuki is 65, 66. Like, there ain't a lot of time left. Like, not to sound morbid, but I know he's talked about succession planning, because James and I noticed it when we were doing the Kickstarter updates, episode 1. He talked about succession planning in just in case. But you'd rather have Yu Suzuki at the helm of it, surely. Hey, JP Asher as well. Welcome in.
Yeah, for sure. Nostalgia Gaming said this a little while ago as a dumb question, but do the letters in WiseNet stand for Yu Suzuki? Yeah,
I presume so,
I presume so. Yu Suzuki Net. Network. Net is as well, so Yu Suzuki Network.
My dog is fast asleep.
Yu Suzuki. Ryo Hazuki as a DLC guest character in Tekken. Sarped off once.
As a side point, I think if they do a VF6, Ryo needs to be a guest character, surely.
Definitely.
That'd get people talking.
It's mad that he wasn't in 5, to be honest, when they released that bloody Yakuza pack.
But it's because RGG did it, wasn't it? And there was real sort of no involvement in Yu Suzuki. You'd think a brand new VF game, Yu Suzuki would have some sort of involvement, surely.
And it says Shenmue 0 pros could help the series' growth, but cons at the same time could do bad itself and then ruin the rest of the story.
Oh shit.
Lawrence Lima says, what if Suzuki makes a game that plays just like Shenmue but isn't called Shenmue? That way the median trolls might not go crazy trying to generate negative impressions. What would you call it?
Mushen.
Just a WoW's journey. Mushen. It would be cool. We have had that question in the chat before in terms of like, what if he made another open world game like Shenmue, but a different theme?
Menshu.
Do you guys think, this is from Masamo, that a possible Shenmue 0 would be similar to Shenmue 1 to 3 gameplay and scope-wise? Yeah, I'm not sure. It sounds from... You would assume it would be, but from the way he was wording about wanting to expand and flesh out Dobuita, is he just thinking of just Dobuita? he wants to create a new prequel story within Dobuita. I don't know. It doesn't seem like enough to me. Like Andy says, Dobuita with modern graphics would be lovely to see. It's true.
I'd enjoy it. And actually, like we talked about earlier, having a really tight, well-detailed environment, which, you know, let's be honest, Dobuita, in terms of Suzuki Dojo, Yamanote, Sakurujuka,
if it's
Dobuita,
the whole thing,
and even
like
Harbor,
Yokosuka rather than Dobuita, yeah.
then it's not big. But if that's intricately detailed, that for me would be better than a massive open world like Starfield.
Yeah,
where it's dead.
me too, man. Yeah, if it's like the whole of Yokosuka or whatever that like in Shenmue 1, then that makes a bit more sense. But Dobuita on its own is a bit. Nostalgia Gaming says Shenmue 0 is an awesome idea. In fact, I'd almost prefer it before going to 4. That's interesting.
I do think there's enough. I mean, I wish Shenmue fans will probably buy it anyway, regardless. But there's less of a split on it. Like it's lent towards Shenmue 0 more than I anticipated. That's a good thing in a way.
Yeah.
Because I'm cautious about it. I've been open in saying that, very very open in saying that. But if they can make it work, I mean, I'll jump straight behind it. You know I will.
Latest James Rayner, by the way. I don't know if you're still there. Thanks for joining. Let's caught up, man.
It's been a busy flipping week, hasn't it?
Master Mo has a good question here. He's curious what type of person got Shenmue 3 that hadn't played the first two. They just sort of jumped straight into Shenmue 3. You'd hope they would have at least watched the digest movie. Like I can see people picking up a Shenmue 3 because they've heard great things about 1 and 2.
Yeah, I could.
And they want to see what the fuss is about. Perhaps they don't really know it's an ongoing story that they needed to know the first 2 games. I don't know. Or they don't mind, they just assume that maybe they'll catch up with the story as they play. Which is essentially what he wants to do with 4, isn't it? He wants people to just play 4 and catch up with the story as they play.
Which makes sense. Nick Hughes makes an interesting point. I wonder if Shenmue 0 might get Sega back on board if budgeted correctly, a fresh start for the franchise. If that's successful, like wildly successful, you can bet your ass that Sega will come back on board because that's the easy money.
Yeah.
But I imagine a publisher would have negotiated, assuming that they want to make Shenmue 4, or say Shenmue 0 comes out first, of course. You'd assume that publisher, if the game's successful, would have first refusal on a Shenmue 4. So Sega might want a bigger cut of the license fee or something, but I don't know.
In that sort of same mindset of what would sell them more when like a new player is face to face with a 0 or 4, we said 0. Is that the same for a publisher? If you're selling a Shenmue 0 to a publisher, is it more prosperous in a sense than them saying like this is the 4th game in an ongoing series? Is it like this could be a new way in for players? Does that come with a bit more sort of excitement for a publisher, perhaps? And could be what he's thinking. Maybe a publisher's going to be more excited for Shenmue 0.
Possibly.
And then, like you said, if it is a big success, and like I was saying earlier, it only needs to be maybe like a quarter of the success that Yakuza got from Yakuza 0. Maybe Sega would hop back on board, and then we get like a Sega-funded Shenmue 4 and 5. I don't know.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
That would be amazing.
But it just wouldn't shock me if Sega came back on board because they want easy money, not really because they want to do anything with it. And they're going to need all the money they can get with Rovio's revenue dropping by 4 or 5%, and this super game, which I'm convinced this super game will fuck them. Like it'd be something.
Well, according to the article, the super game is meant to be many games. I think it says at least 5 or something. So $800 million that they've spent so far on the super game. potentially split between 5 games, but I thought it was a bit silly. Why would you not just make one game first and then see what the reception of it is like? Like, why work on 5 at the same time?
We'll find out in a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know what it is going to be about it. It's going to be so super. And why have Sega got this technology where other studios haven't? When did that
Thanks,
happen?
Nostalgia Gaming, for dropping in, by the way. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Some good comments in the chat there. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate that.
Right, let's catch me some chickens. Now, I should have explained to the new people in stream that I've been playing Shenmue 1 to 3 back to back for the stream. So this is why I'm sort of hammering through Shenmue 3 as much as I can. Because I've got 2 more
Because we're in the
streams this
November
year.
stream. Yeah. You're actually doing quite well here. We were saying that, like, if you just speed ran through Shenmue 3, it probably wouldn't take that long, actually. Especially if you already got the money. Did you earn the money before?
I cheated and used Unreal Cheat and the UUU thing
Yeah,
on
I get that.
Unreal and just gave myself a load of money.
Makes sense. Yeah, so really you battered this. Like if you're doing chickens already.
Hey Star Fox, welcome in.
孫さん今日はもう終わりじゃまたあすこいよいな
Love that picture of Yu Suzuki standing in front of the Sega building with the Sega logo. Was that on this new interview? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I robbed it for the main site.
Yeah. How old was he there?
He couldn't be very old.
Maybe about 40, I'd say. JPH says the prequel would need to be a WoW and Zhao Mingno. Maybe game explores the relationship and ends somehow before we discover what ultimately happens. That should be the plot, in my opinion. I think it probably should be what's going on there, rather than creating some Ryo Hazuki story.
Hey Facundo, by the way, welcome in.
Sake of it. Because I don't even know what they could cover that would make an interesting prequel. If it's just solely Ryo Hazuki, he just is like we said, is bonding with his father, and then you've probably got like the martial arts tournament thing at his high school. I don't know.
Which you obviously see.
Would that make a whole game though? I don't know.
They're gonna have to be very smart with it, aren't they? And how they make that story and flesh it out. That's the hard bit. But I think it has to have something with a WoW's backstory. It has to. Because I don't think, with respect to Rio, it's going to be interesting enough. It was just focusing on him. That's just my opinion. And that's not to say they couldn't build the relationship and make it all, honky-dory. But I think you need something backstory-wise to get people hooked.
Yeah, I mean, for us it would be great if, the adding more detail to Rio and Nozomi's relationship and, some of the other characters there, but for just a new player to the series, it's not going to be gripping, is it, really?
No, and that's the problem. Oh, I went to Kung Fu. Didn't want to go there. Well, we'll have a nice jog in.
This is a good question, Matt, from Archive. I always say Archive. I know I'm saying it wrong. Archive.org, who asks, well, he says, I don't know why people get so mad about Shenmue 3. I think it was beautiful and true to its roots. And in fact, you've got a good video about this tomorrow, aren't you?
I
or
do.
at least references Shenmue 3. And
So-
some people get mad because they thought it was going to be a trilogy and end the series. And this video, while you talk a little bit about it if you want, Matt.
So, long story, you covered it pretty wise. Long story short, I got fed up of people going 3 should have ended it. Now, I understand it from a risk factor perspective, but from a story perspective, it makes 0 sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I talk through why I think that, go through the chapter cards that we've got and the ones we've got left to go through, and just make the case as to why Shenmue 3 was never going to end it, and I have no idea why people thought that. And bearing in mind he was talking way back in like 2014 and beyond that it was never going to end it anyway.
Exactly. Case closed.
Yeah. Case closed, job done, thank you very much.
Yeah, he also says Shenmue 1 and 2 should have been full-scale remakes in the same engine that Shenmue 3 was made.
There was a reason they didn't do that. It's because it would cost them more money.
Yeah. If we had like just an infinite well of money, that would have been the ideal scenario. Full remake of 1 and 2.
It was Cedric who talked about the idea of the Dreamcast graphics, and he said it would be far too expensive, and there's no documentation out there anymore. And they'd need the engine from Sega, which they were never going to give that to them. They didn't even have the source material, source code for Shenmue 1 and 2 to make Shenmue 3. Unfortunately.
So, Kenzo says a little bit. He's talking about, I think when we were talking about Sega perhaps coming on board after a successful Shenmue 0, for example. He says, I don't think Sega will be involved, sadly, as they already have Yakuza and won't be competing with themselves. Would it be competing with themselves, though? Because technically, Shenmue 2 and the first Yakuza game were quite close in terms of release, if you're thinking about the Xbox One and the PS2 original Yakuza game, right? It's like a year between them, maybe?
Bearing in mind, Ubisoft have Assassin's Creed, and they got Avatar, which is like the game coming out this year, which is very similarly playing.
Yeah, and Immortals Phoenix Rise was a very Assassin's Creed type game as well. I'm not sure. I mean, the word competing against each other, I mean, technically yes, but then also no, because they kind of like sell each other as well, don't they? Because like, depending on how they market it, Shenmue fans might get into the Yakuza series, and many people have, right, from Shenmue.
Yeah.
And many people that play Yakuza may, get into the Shenmue series. So I think they can both exist under the same company.
Right, let's do some chickens again.
Grab that one. Gundo, welcome in, man. It's a cool idea from JP Asher. Perhaps the theme could be a Wow's conflict between his journey and his girlfriend wife back in Japan. Presuming she is Japanese. I mean, it does sound like it done it from Kine.
Yeah, it does.
Ryo's mother's name, Japanese name. Would be interesting to see what's going on there with the relationship. Perhaps in the prequel you could see Ryo's mother and, you know, the sort of illness that she's got before she dies. I don't know. She's supposed to have died when he was 3, right? Because
That's
she
right,
was ill.
yeah.
We don't really know anything more than that, so that might be an interesting bit of drama.
Yeah.
Wow's life. We could see him right in that dedication of the temple. Cool idea.
That'd be cool, wouldn't
See if they integrate all these things together. Like, this is, again, especially if you're doing a Shenmue 0 now, you really need someone on board that's like got a really good knowledge of all 3 games so far and the intricacies, because again, I've said this in the past, I'm a sucker for continuity, man. I think
Rightly
things should. Well, yeah, rightly so. So I don't want them to miss anything. I don't want them to create a new piece of canon that conflicts with something that happened in the first 3 games. You know what I mean? So say if like a WoW doesn't have a wife or Rio doesn't have a mother, for example, because they forgot that particular detail. I don't know, or these details that they could forget. Sort of like what happened in, was it like the Star Wars prequels and that sort of stuff, where people were like questioning certain things of the timeline and some of the characters and stuff. Even in that Obi-Wan series, Matt, and I guess this is a spoiler in a sense, but people were getting mad that baby Luke Skywalker had seen a lightsaber, because in the first film, well, episode 4, he says he's never seen a lightsaber in his life. Yeah, he didn't know what one was. So they're sort of like breaking a little bit of continuity between stuff, because it's been so long, and the people working on these shows and these games and stuff don't know all the intricacies off the top of the head when they're coming up with the storyline and stuff. So it would be nice if they really nail, and anything that has been broken continuity wise they can fix. You know what I mean?
We had a follow as well.
Oh, thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Absthena Avamortis. I hope I've pronounced that right. Well, I probably haven't, but thank you for the follow anyway, and welcome.
Welcome in. Gundo says, I tried making a low poly sculpture of Rio for Shenmue Day, but my 3D skills are severely lacking. So we might do a quick sketch instead. I'd still like to see the sculpture if you've put a bit of time and effort into it. I think it's worth seeing. And yeah, JP says, correct, 3 was never going to end it. You guys have summed it up well.
I don't mean to sound like I'm ranting, because I can understand the argument from a particular point of view, that it was lightning in a bottle to get Shenmue 3 made, and I respect that. But when you actually look at the detail and all the articles that are out there and everything, it makes no sense. It makes literally no sense.
And they never ever even said this is going to be the last game on the Kickstarter page or anything. So anyone backing a 3rd game expecting it to be the last one, I don't know where they even thought of that. Right, I think what doesn't help is like some of the article headlines and stuff use the word trilogy, don't they? Kenzo says, one way to get Shenmue 4 is that a new publisher with a lot of finance fund Shenmue to get some attention and some PR, all that story into one game. No worries, man, no worries. I think I kind of know what you're saying.
Yeah, I get what you're going for. Like a new publisher with a shitload of money wants to make a bit of a fucking ripple.
Yeah.
I can see the point.
Kind of like what 110 seemed like they were going to do. 110 Industries, and what they tried to do with Wanted Dead, I suppose. Getting in, like, you know, the original Ninja Gaiden staff that worked on that game to create a brand new game in that sort of format. Tried to create a bit of a ripple there with a sort of a big financed game from a brand new company. Sort of came off such, but they tried.
I played Wanted Dead. It was okay. I don't think it was as bad as people make out to be, but there were some interesting decisions made in that game.
Did you complete it, by the way?
Yeah.
How long was it?
About 8-9 hours, I think it took me.
Too bad. This is a good character design, I think. I quite like the character design of Yanlang.
I do. It's very true to what's in the chapter cards, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where Mr. Muscles came from,
No, I don't.
but this is a pretty cool boss character.
But actually, we got something in our next podcast episode which shocked us in terms of one of the characters that there was art for. I won't spoil it, but there was art from the Dreamcast era of one of the characters in Shenmue 3.
Yeah. Schedule-wise, check our X account around about 3 p.m. tomorrow. If you're interested in what we're about there, I kind of spoil the episode a little bit by showing it. But, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear you guys' opinion on what we're talking about here. We're not going to spoil it until tomorrow, though. In terms of the dojo, guys, another little piece of news is that the servers have actually been upgraded. Our hosting platform. So if you haven't been on the dojo website for quite a while, which is literally just shenmuedojo.com, get on it. You'll find that it's much snappier, smoother, more enjoyable experience. Yeah.
The media section on there now.
It's so fast.
Fucking instant.
It's so fast, mate. It's amazing. Especially, like you say, because the media section's got so many images. Just clicking a gallery, it just loads so quickly, so good. It just makes all the hard work. Like when I was going through all of the leaflets for the collection sections, and there's like over 100 images, and you can just instantly view them all. And yeah, also the forums much quicker as well now. It's all like on the same platform, so really nice upgrade all around. And again, thanks to Jibby who
Smashed it.
smashed it, mate. Did some amazing work behind the scenes. In that interview, Matt, I was reading that, well, because I've read the whole interview, Ezra's interview. He's on about 20 years after the cancellation of Sci-Fi or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That touchscreen game. I can't believe that's over 20 years, by the way.
Bloody hell.
He created like touchscreen before touchscreen was a thing, kind of. Like I assume, I don't know, when did the first iPhone come out?
Was it like 2004, 5, something like that?
2007 was the first iPhone.
Fuck, that late?
Yeah. So yeah, he was kind of like a pioneer with this touchscreen stuff. By the sounds of it. Maybe went a bit too overboard with it, I don't know, because if it was burning people's fingers. Because like literally everything we do now is touchscreen.
Everything, yeah.
Everything, so. 2007. Crazy. So what's that? That's 16 years ago. So we've had iPhones for 16 years, guys. Are we better or are we worse for having an iPhone? I don't know.
Oh, it's debatable, isn't it?
I mean, I probably wouldn't know half you people as well as I do know without an iPhone, but better.
ああ確かそんな塔が緑
父は
奴らに引き渡すどこへ連れ俺たちのアジトは
I do still like the fact that we've lived through all of the technology advancements. But like we were there before the internet, so we kind of experienced life
お父さん
without all this
お前に命令したのは誰だ
hugabaloo.
違う俺たち
It's called.
その知らなんだといやそんなはず
まだ足りなかったみ
本当だよ
It would be nice to go back to that kind of lifestyle, wouldn't it, where you've got no real.
あのスキンヘッド野郎は監視
Not that it's a worry.
あいつは詳しく
Like the internet isn't a worry or a concern as such, but it's like
あいつに
it does take up a lot of your time and life, doesn't it? Really, when you think about it, especially like people like you and me, Matt, who are like constantly Twitter and doing this and doing that. And
ばあさんにばあさん
要ば
it eats away at you, doesn't it? There's a lot of people that
どういうことだ
are addicted to like social media and TikTok and
ところで何をしてるやら
you know these studies that people have where they're questioning people's attention spans now and
I know.
what the future's going to be like for people with
父さん
like
もうこの人
anxieties and all these sort of
あいつを逃がすのか
村にいられると
depression and mental illness that has formed from like constantly seeing models. And I know it's difficult because you've always had it in those in different types of media when you think about it. Like back in the day you had the magazines where everyone was skinny and that was sort of creating a false presentation to young females that assumed they needed to be super skinny to be attractive or whatever. But that's sort of more prevalent these days with social media, where everyone's sort of like suggesting that this is how you should be, this is how my life is. A lot to do with like money. Like I've got loads of money, like Mr. Beast or whatever, going around just buying this and buying that and chucking money here and there, and it's like, you know, you can see people getting ill really by the fact that their lives aren't like that, which, you know, most people, like 99.9% of people aren't. Yeah, it's not plausible, is it, to be like that? But like you used to look up to, I want to say like
これを
better celebrity figures as a child, a little bit more people inspiring you, if you know what I mean. Like these days, who are the celebrities that kids look up to, like Doja Cat or Nicki Minaj? I'm not sure like they're the best role models in my
I'm
opinion.
not anywhere near au fait with like celebrity culture or anything these days. I couldn't.
お願い
ソさんもソンさんもヨウさんなら知っている
We've gone from Nelson Mandela to Doja Cat. So people are saying better, so they think it's better living in a world now with iPhones. But tech is often misused, unfortunately. We are the last generation that remembers the world without internet being so ubiquitous. The other aspect is this AI. It is getting a lot quite concerning, the advancements in AI. I know when you read articles on like AI is going to take over the world and artwork, artists are going to go out of business because it's so easy to create art. But then there's the good side of it where video game people are sort of like making life a little bit easier. I heard about a new game where they're sort of creating the majority of the work themselves, but for the stuff that takes a lot of time, like the backgrounds, in say like a point and click adventure game, the backgrounds perhaps could just be generated. You know, the people are trying to give some of the pros to using AI in that sort of a format, which I can understand, making life a lot easier. You don't need to employ those people, spend money and time. But then again, people are losing or missing out on job opportunities, artists, and
That's when he gets into ethics, doesn't it?
yeah, which we haven't got nailed down at the moment.
縁の一族の腕は都にも知れ渡っていた。
I mean, for a world that created films like The Terminator, like 30 odd years ago, or whenever it was in the
I know,
80s,
yeah, what 80s and 90s,
And-
wasn't it?
and it's like we haven't learned from those films. Like, they are trying to create robots and war machines as such. Like, they want to use AI to create robots that can help in war and stuff like that. It's just asking for trouble, innit?
It is.
I just realised I've just been talking over like some of the best cutscenes in this game.
It's alright. Don't worry. I reckon
At
I'll
some
be out.
point, I will have you on for that last episode of the law stream.
We'll sort it out. Do it before Christmas. Got a lot of... Gee, we've got a shitload of content, actually, between now and Christmas. Streaming
It's all
next
crept
Friday,
up on us, really, hasn't
next
it?
Friday for Air Twister. Streaming for Shenmue 3's anniversary. Then it'd be the 4th of December. Then there'll probably be a law stream in between there, plus podcasts. And then we'll end up doing the Christmas stream.
Very, very true. And then a Christmas show. There's so
People are
much
gonna
going
be
on,
sick
really.
to fucking death of us by the end of it.
Mate, they're going to be sick to death of us come Tuesday night when this new show releases and they find out it's like 3.5 hours long. If you've been pining for a new podcast episode, guys, yeah, we've basically got about 10 episodes in this one show that we did the other day.
It's a bumper episode.
Yeah. Good 3 hours and 10 minutes, possibly.
I'll render that video, actually. Get it uploaded.
Should be a good one, though. Before Terminator, there was Metropolis, yeah. You ever seen Metropolis, Matt?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
My uncle used to be really into it, so much so that we drove all the way to, I think, somewhere, possibly even like Cornwall or something like that, because there was a shop that had a sort. I want to say full size, but probably not because Metropolis is going to be like a huge robot thing. But it was probably like this high, metal. I don't know if it was official or someone just made it, but like a metal Metropolis lady. And yeah, that's a memory I've got as a kid. Going on that road trip to buy that for him. Like, not me personally, but...
We're going to be in Niawu, probably the next half an hour, if that.
Yeah, might as well get to Niawu, Matt.
I'll get to Niawu and
No,
then
not the bell
some.
tower now.
Just got to remember where everything is. There's one. I always wondered why she just had these randomly in her cupboards.
I know. It's like very... Like she's planned for this day. She's blind, but she's created this puzzle.
Right, I've got 3 of the buggers.
I wonder why the thugs didn't harass her or trash her house. She's like the first house you kind of see, isn't she? Not the square. It's like all open, so they don't even have to knock a door down. They can just jump in and... Right next to the bell tower as well. So comments here. I think having everything readily available at our fingertips has really ruined people's patience.
I can
Yeah,
see that.
that's a good point. That's a good point. And that was a worry. I remember people talking about that, like when iPhones first came out, like, and Google. Just something simple like a quiz or people asking you a question in the pub, and it's like a bit of a conversation starter. And nowadays, people just whip the phone out, search the answer. Oh, it's this person. Like someone would say, like, who sang the song? And it'd be like I finally figured it out moment. Whereas now it's just like you just look on your phone and within seconds, and then you're back to just sitting there quietly.
Looking at your phone.
And you do get that a lot, don't you? Just people just sat around looking at the phones all night. You go out with a group of friends and everyone's on the phone.
They're all sat there like that, not talking to each other.
Yeah. Or people walking past you in the street, they've got their heads down. Often turn your head to look at someone while driving, and they've got their head down while driving. You know what I mean? It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go on the motorway, and like half the people driving on the motorway they're looking down.
Hey, Aaron Barnett, welcome in.
Welcome in, buddy. Yeah, true. Thugs perhaps ignore her because she's not a stonemason.
Right, I've got
They
one
only
more
need to open one drawer,
fucking
find a
now.
key. There you go.
I can't remember where they all are now.
Can't believe we got that question wrong, mate, on that
I
Sega
know.
show. We got them the sort of the wrong way round, I think. In fact, they're not the complete opposites. It's not like Sun and Moon. Do you know what I mean? They're like a bit mixed. Because when he was going through the list, they are a bit mixed. It's not like if a moon is that side, if a dragon's that side, it has to be Sun and Phoenix or
it's
whatever.
hard, isn't it? When you, and I consider my Shenmue 3 knowledge probably better than my original game knowledge, and I struggled with that one. Yu Suzuki is playing with my
Sword design.
emotions, talking about Shenmue 0, and ours. Also playing with my fucking nerves as well.
Yeah, man. At least he's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's more than we've had for a while.
Yeah. Having to record videos on the fly. One day, I swear to God, they're going to announce Shenmue 4. I'm going to be in like the car, being just parked up for work or something, and I have to like record a reaction video on my phone in my car. As a...
People would like that. People would like that. That day will come.
It will. It'll happen.
Let's hope that we got some advance warning.
I'd like some advance warning.
Away up. Look, he's in the chat, Matt.
Ah, there we go. You're right, Casey.
Nice. Very sad about that question. If you've only just joined us, Casey, that is a very,
It's very
astute
opportune
timing.
Retro Godfather, quick question. What's the quickest way to level up Ryo's moves in Shenmue 1 struggling? If you're focused on his just wanting to do throws, you can set the sleep focus to throws and then just go and throw around Fukusan every day. Oh, you got a cold, Casey. I hope it's not COVID, because there's a lot of that going around at the moment. My dad's got COVID, actually, at the moment. He's had it for like 10 days. It's the first time he's had it.
That's not good, man. You been in contact with him or not?
Yeah, I
like
spoke
physical
to him.
contact, I mean.
No. I dropped some food round there, but I sort of knocked the door and ran away. I've had COVID once. I don't want it again, thanks.
I've had it twice now, unfortunately. I got that second one was weird because it must have been from that Sonic Symphony thing.
How
but
I
you
didn't
get it.
that.
Very weird.
Andy ACS, do either of you know if anyone took the time to do a literal translation of Shenmue 1 so you could mod the subtitles into the subs or close to the original script? I don't think so. Although the undub, I think they make some tweaks to it, if my memory serves me correctly. New Age Barbarian, welcome in.
Another thing you could do, Retro Godfather, by the way, about you leveling up things, I tend to like to put, especially if you're doing like a punch or a kick, putting them on the R button and then just going to the parking lot. Actually, I don't know. You can't do that in the parking lot, can you? I think if you press R in the parking lot, it
you
brings
have
up the move scroll.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's good for like training with Fukusan or like spamming
Mm,
against like Chai or something.
Yeah.
これは木札が刺せそうだな。
Try to remember the
I've
flipping
seen
order here.
Shenmue mentioned on gaming news sites as such a trip. Yeah, a lot of people have taken
Yeah.
that as article and ran with it a little bit, haven't they? Which is cool. I suppose it's bringing attention to Shenmue Zero and stuff.
I mean, it's also your attention on Yu Suzuki though as well, because
Sometimes bad, right? Because he's only kind of expressing like these are his ideas, and then people do what they do best and take that as a headline of like Yu Suzuki's planning a Shenmue Zero, or Yu Suzuki's wants to do Shenmue Zero, which I suppose he kind of does. It's not untrue. It's just attention grabbing, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. The video I made, I made that very clickbaity. That title. It had to be done though.
He didn't seem too bad yesterday, by the way, KC. Is it something that's sort of sprung on you a little bit more today?
I think I've got this in the right order.
Yeah, better soon, mate.
Oh, I now fucking remember it. Look, first time as well. Fuck's sake.
Well, it is easy seeing the pictures. It's just knowing what was on the tokens, right? That's what we were asked. That was a punch.
Right, let's go up here.
Yeah. See, dragon was on the token. Did you have a moon or a sun token?
Moon.
Moon. Yeah. So it's like backwards almost. Quarters out.
六角の柱か。
これは臨場。
We're
Mario
getting-
says he always dreamt about Shenmue Zero. Nozomi coming from Canada, feeling out of place. The Mad Angels' activities. Did they really kill Mark's brother? How Shozu became homeless. Yeah, but there's some
That'd be a
good
bit awesome for us,
side
wouldn't
plots
it?
there.
調べてみよう。
Yeah.
Great for us. It's just whether it, like I say, whether it translates to the wider audience or not.
Mm-hmm.
動かない。
A retro Godfather came down with a naughty cold after EJX.
There's the
See, that's
sorts
the
of
thing, you don't know
places
where you
can
catch
get
it from, do you? Like, I assumed I got it from BCDC dude who said that he had it, right?
Mm.
So that's who I assumed I probably picked it up from on that day. But then
That day.
again, like, you strange that you didn't get it. So
I don't know how.
then
I
there is
didn't-
that sort of stuff. Like Casey says, like, says his wife had it or something, but he didn't get it.
件と同じ模様。
Hope you feel better, Casey.
Strange, isn't it?
Rest up.
Strange. Clicks. Oh, that's true. Richard Payne's combo tutorials.
Yes, they are.
That's how you level your moves up. Yes, throw moves are the slowest. I think also you can advance the days, right? So say if you did the day skip and you've got your bedtime moves set to throws, I think your moves level up.
They do, yeah.
So that could be a little bit of a cheat for you.
Right, let me just remind myself of this. Try and remember. It's
Interesting. Mario says a new E3 build of Skies of Arcadia showed up at Dreamcast Info's website.
Ah.
回しても何も起こら
Very
ないな。
cool.
どうなってるんだ。
What's actually different? Do you know, Mario? It's like an early build.
りょう、さっきの紙、
It would be if it was E3.
ヨーバー
Even if Shenmue Zero didn't happen as a game, then even as an anime series or one-off movie would be nice as another option.
True. We're getting to one of my
Lawrence
favourite
says playing
scenes
as
now.
Rio. Oh, mates. Yeah, me too. I love that little martial arts in the moonlight. That was such a great art card as well with the Shenmue Wildership 2. It's like my favourite art card. Lawrence says playing as Rio in Shenmue Zero would be weird since he's just a normal teenager living a normal life, being good at karate. Yeah, sort of the shit. It's the fan after Shenmue 1, doesn't it? So,
yeah.
What sort of a life has he got before? How can you make that interesting? It has to be a WoW side, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has to. Hey, Rio X.
Hey up, buddy. You don't fancy translating some Italian for us, do you?
Rio X is...
Might not be Rio X, actually.
It might not be.
Rio Cross Hazuki.
True. It is. There we are.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
so back to the
I was
previous
just thinking
question.
Yeah, just some random guy there saying like, "What? I don't know Italian. I'm Spanish."
Well, Spanish and Italian are very close. Like in terms of the linguistics, actually.
We do have. He does say if you need translation, we've got a VOD of that Yu Suzuki interview yesterday when he was at that Liquor Games that I think you told us about actually a little bit. So I mean, I don't know how you actually apply subtitles to a YouTube video, but if you could do some sort of a brief transcript, I'll figure out like how. Let me link that actually. It's unlisted. Is it alright linking in the chat, Matt, do you reckon, or not?
Should be fine. That fucking scroll here, though, in this cutscene, it's like, that's in Shenmue Online. That's in all the stuff.
There you go, Rio X on that. Is literally just a straight upload of Yu Suzuki's interview. I haven't even added proper title to it or a description yet, but yeah, see what you think. If it's something that you could translate into English for us, question and answer, then that would be amazing. Try and get that subtitled somehow. No pressure, like.
Yeah,
You're probably regretting joining the stream now.
9 o'clock tomorrow. No. If you can, great, but if don't worry.
Yeah, no rush, man. Even if it's just a written translation, we can push it on the
That'd be
website
great.
if you like.
You ready for Sega Racing Classic 2? Not long now. Yes, I am. I'll be getting a
Ooh,
physical
looking forward
copy
to
of
that.
Like a Dragon Gaiden, the Asian version. I think it'll be here next week at some point.
Is it next week? Wow.
Yeah, it's next.
See, I'm actually looking
Friday.
forward to playing that. Well, the Daytona 2, more so than the game, to be honest.
Ooh, new track.
What was that? He's working on a new track.
Mm.
Oh, sick, dude. He's working on a new track for tomorrow. Okay, yeah, just maybe put the interview then to one side until you've done your track then, mate.
Here we go.
Oh, extra chat. 1 second. So Mastermo says a game that plays during the time when the mirrors were made would be pretty awesome, like ancient China. That would be awesome. I mean, when the mirrors were made is 1910. Not technically ancient China, but that sort of a period I'd love to see actually. I'd love to see the events of the Envoy coming into Bailu Village. And some sort of How would they do that? They'd have to have the parents of the characters that we see. Not even the parents. They'd have to be the grandparents, wouldn't they, of the characters that we see old in Shenmue 3. You know, like your Aldier's mother and father, or grandmother and father. And then you'd get, just thinking out loud on that, you'd get Mr. Yuan's grandfather would be one of the main residents of Bailu Village from that era. Like the guy that actually made the mirrors. It's a big thing, isn't it? The guy that actually made the mirrors.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
That would be so cool to see. Lawrence Lomas, if it were an epic from the very beginning of the lore game, it'd have to imply playing as a WoW, travelling through China, playing as Shuing, and even as Joy.
Now, the theory I have about not getting a proper fight here is because his style's so different. I think in terms of mocap and getting it into the game and giving it justice, I think they probably felt it worked better as a QTE. Whereas it obviously in the old fighting engine, when you had the Virtua Fighter stuff, you had all the different styles there already. So probably a cost saver, if anything.
I could see that, mate. And we've already beaten Chai a couple of times, maybe, so Ryo just does away with him, doesn't he, these days?
Yeah, he just beats him quite comfortably.
Kenzo says the fact that you talked a lot about Shenmue in the last interview was interesting. Usually says I have nothing more to say about Shenmue right now or thing like that. That's very true, actually. He normally does sort of, you know, cast the Shenmue questions aside. So actually answering Shenmue stuff is quite promising, I suppose. The Hunchback of Shenmue. Maybe you're already aware, but you can play the latest Daytona through Technoparrot. Is that some sort of emulation service, is it? Maybe Suzuki's ready to drop a trailer for Shenmue 4 at Christmas. He's just trying to throw us off the scent. That would be a bit of a Christmas miracle, wouldn't it? Would be nice. This is a nice scene, yeah. Although, with the prophecy, it's weird, I think. Kind of sounds like it's the end of the game. I love that moon. That's no moon. That's what the night sky looks like, guys, without any air pollution. The beauty of
see, everybody's loving
beauty of Bailu.
These cutscenes and the move into Niawu are some of the best in the game, like by far. This cutscene for me is on a level with Shenmue 1 and 2. It's just inconsistent, isn't it? Because they obviously had to pick and choose their moments, but this is beautiful.
Very cinematic. Like you say, whereas like the old. Look at the. I mean, you're probably a little bit ahead of me now, but the folding screen behind Aldier had like pictures of like a tiger, mountains and stuff like that on it. Disc change. Rio X says I downloaded the .srt data from the video. The transcription in Italian seems okay-ish, so we can use that as a starting point and then potentially can re-upload that. That's really cool, mate. Yeah, nice one. I know you can kind of do auto-translate. We were trying that a little bit earlier, but it wasn't translating everything for some reason.
Just going to say welcome to MHK Games Work. Welcome in.
welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it sort of translated like parts of the question, but then she'd reply, and it wouldn't really translate her reply. So we'll leave it to you, mate. Thank you very much. And then this is another scene map, right?
I like this.
Really nice scene. Yep.
Rio with his legendary backpack. I always wish they did more with her. Like in the build up to the finale.
Refresh the screen. I'm like so far behind. Yeah, you're talking about Miao Sun's alter ego, right?
Yes.
Feng Li, is it? Something like that.
あれは名人のバイさんよ。
Cormorant
彼の手にかかれば
Fisherman?
どんな運も思いのまま
Yeah,
よ。
looks like I'm a little bit
あな
back.
たは201号室ね。宿は港にあるの。
And then some random lady who
すぐわかると思うわ。荷物は旅社に届けておくから、屋台でも見ていったらいいわ。
わかりました、ガイドさん。
じゃあ、良い旅を。
JP Ashton makes a good point. After he gets his bag nicked in Hong Kong, now he just hands it over. Very trusting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Very trusting. Some random lady.
Let's do a quick save just in case.
Again, there's a lot of things like that. It's like it kind of works because it's a game, but then is it because they couldn't animate Rio walking with a bag? I know they just did it for the cutscene though, but maybe the cutscene's different than physically walking around with a backpack. I don't know.
これはなんだ。
I hope Shenmue 4 will develop with a high budget. So do I. Give them all the money. All of it.
すみません。
Andy says it's at this point when the game's story for his first playthrough just became Find Bailu-chan. Chobu-chan.
すみません。俺は
Well, that's an interesting take from Flying Waffle. He's glad that they kept a lot of the soundtrack.
なくて。
I would have just liked a bit more new stuff. But
Yeah,
I
same.
get why.
Yeah, especially when they said they were bringing back, you know, Ryuji.
それよりどうだい。5本で3件だ。
And like these people they brought back were obviously featured quite heavily in the initial Kickstarter. But obviously it didn't all transpire that way, did it?
No, well, we were looking at that in the show as well, weren't we? Like, we got a list of the credits up, and a few of the names we were actually seeing if they made it all the way to the end credits, or whether they were just sort of an early shout, I suppose, as someone that is going to be working on the game but didn't end up actually contributing an awful lot. A couple actually were surprised by that. Where's Shenmue going? You see Shenmue in the background then?
So off.
Yeah.
Shit, I ain't got no time for this bullshit.
でしょはい、もう一
I want to drink that tea.
Oh, excuse me.
杯目からがうまいんだ。
聞きたいことがあるんです。
Yeah, the Chobu-chans are great, man.
はい。
Yeah, they are.
あとあと。さあ、もう一杯。
If only someone would invent a fan game where you can go and find some Chobu-chans. Be cool, wouldn't it? Would be a nice
Surprised
Christmas present.
WiseNet haven't done more with them, you know, because like they created that for this.
Nice moonwalk from Shenmue there. Are you going to be adding in the
I've got
Zhang
the DLC.
side quest or
I've
not?
got the DLC. I don't know. I don't know if I've got enough time.
I don't know, he's smashing it at the moment, Matt.
鍵をもらってくる。
Yeah, just going out on the balcony at night in the hotel room is something I really enjoyed in this game. So nice, isn't it?
船の客
Especially at night time.
はい。
名前は
葉月。
The hotels actually is really nicely designed. I like the vibes. I like this lady's character as well. I just wish
Again, they did
she had a little bit of a bigger role. Yeah, she's quite nicely designed actually. Looking at the back of a cardigan there, it's
どうも
quite a funny character.
Yeah.
今日はもう休もう。
あ
明日の朝またここで会いましょう。
David
anyone
Santos says, does anyone here think that Rio's face is strange compared to the one he had before? Only in the fact that it's a different model, I guess.
It's funny.
It does
because
look a
you-
little strange.
If you look at like the artwork that's on the game cover,
Yeah,
it's actually
yeah.
pretty damn close, isn't it?
It is. It's close when you put them next to each other, but I do know what David means when you're looking at Rio's face in some scenes and stuff. It looks like maybe his eyes are too close together, or there is something slightly off, or maybe the skin color. I don't know. It's almost like in certain scenes they're using a different model. If that makes any sense.
Like a better model.
Like in some cutscenes, he's whiter and has like smaller eyeballs or something. He's got like smaller eyes in some scenes, whereas like now he looks alright actually. But then when it's like when it pans up to him looking straight on, he's just eyes portions look a bit off.
I mean,
Like
that's
from
the
some
in-game-
angles. From some angles it looks alright, but when you look at him like that angle there, it looks okay. But when you look at him square on, Matt,
yeah, it's difficult,
I don't
isn't
know.
it?
it is difficult. There's something about it. Something going on with his eyes or something, or his nose. I don't know what it is. But from the side, it looks
何よこの部屋。だ
right. I don't know.
こんな汚い部屋はよしましょうって。
ごめんよ。何でも買ってあげるから機嫌直してね。ね。
本当に何でも
もちろんさ。僕が今まで嘘をついたことあったかい？うっと。気をつけたまえ。
Kenzo says it looks good. Small modern 3D model. I think it looks good. I just think for like the main character, it could have looked better.
Because like you look at Landy, obviously looks
Landy
really
looks
good.
amazing.
Ren looks decent.
Ren looks amazing.
Shenmue
Shenmue even
I know
looks
you
good.
changed the clothes, but actually she looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, Rio's just a little bit below all them in terms of his model.
I think
Whereas
they
like as the
struggled,
main
didn't
one,
they?
he should be the... Yeah, it's weird. And same with the jacket, how the jacket clips as he's walking.
持ちがないとか言わないよね。
いえ
毎度。
And you can tell that they struggled if you go through the Kickstarter updates and you've seen they're using
Yeah.
like the Dreamcast model quite a lot, and then these
Dave,
photoshopping
see.
his face.
I'm just trying not to get
Remember that one
glare.
in the fighting
that-
scene, Matt, where they photoshopped his old face on.
Oh, I know. So that's the cover. Okay. So that's the cover for Shenmue 3.
Yeah. See, that model looks great in that context.
And then I'll just grab my Japanese copy. If I can get that in nice and tight. It's not too different. There, is it?
No, that is the comparison
Don't know if I can
I'm
get
looking
it.
at right now. When you
It's
put
not-
them two next to each other.
Try not to get the glare on it, but you can sort of see it's not too far away.
Hmm.
But yeah.
But again, in game, it does look slightly different. It's weird.
It does, absolutely. Austin McConnell, do I prefer English or Japanese? Personally, I prefer the Japanese. It's just me. Just a preference thing. Nothing against the English dub, just my personal opinion.
おはよ
I prefer the
So
old
JP
Shinhara
Ash says
outfit.
it's
おはよう
yeah, same. It's a good rear model, I think, far better than the early versions, but not as good as the Dreamcast.
エンさんたちの手がかりを探そう
This couple can get in the bin. See if she doesn't like the couple. I quite like them actually.
ローカイ山の船着き場とは全然違う。
Comedy to the
こんな大
the
きな
game.
街でどうやって探
Has
せ
anyone heard the hidden music in Golden Shopping Mall? It's in the upper floor by the left, coming from one of the shops. You won't hear it through speakers.
そうだな。今はそれしかない。
Quite sure,
マジで
actually.
聞き込みだ。
Landy, Shenmue, and Ranel look good. Landy in particular looks incredible.
Landy's really good.
And Master Mo says, I actually really dislike how Landy looks. He looks kind of Western to me. I don't think they nailed Landy, actually. I like Landy. Got used to Ryo's new look, just needs a little bit of tweaking. Yep.
I do think they'd polish it more for a Shenmue 4 or a 0.
すみません。
Yeah, I mean, like what Flying Waffle says there, is it just rose-tinted goggles, do you think? Is it what is it? He says better graphics, but somehow Shenmue 1 and 2 model looks much more realistic. I don't know. Would you agree with that, or?
It's difficult, isn't it? I don't mind the model, but I do
I think I would agree with it.
I do think the Dreamcast model looks better in terms of what they're working with. But I don't think Rio's bad. There's a lot of people. There's some people out there that have a real problem with the model, which fair enough. Like it's preference and all the rest of it. But
yeah, I don't have a problem with the model. I just like you prefer the Dreamcast model.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it, but like Flying Waffle does say, it does look more realistic. Like that early, like the box art of Shenmue 1. All three characters look stunning on that box art. Ryo, Shenmue, Landy. Considering they probably produced that in like 98. People like the Japanese dub. Or both. Something like both. Would be nice to get both, still. Keep Corey Marshall in a job, eh?
Now the fighting, I'm going to make a point in saying they captured all the bloody mocap in Wisenet's office. So they were very limited on what they could do. We've even got a picture. It's in the new show that's coming out next week. You can see they've moved the office furniture around to do the mocap. They were very limited. And when you look at what they were doing with the Dreamcast in terms of having people on like wires and stuff, so they got hit, they went backwards and all this for the throws and everything. They didn't have any of that for this. None of it. Absolutely. They had basic mocap from what I could see.
Yeah, guys, if you missed that, that was in our Kickstarter updates part 1 show. We went through a lot of the Kickstarter updates where it sort of references what Matt just said from Masaya Matsukaze. He was on about that they sort of, for Shenmue 1, to create a lot of the fighting moves and stuff like that, they were using like old Hong Kong movie type techniques where, because Matsukaze-san was actually Ryo Azuki in a sense, he was the one doing the motion cap, and they actually put a big rope around him, and there was like 5 blokes that pulled him really hard, and he goes flying on a crash mat to sort of get that motion cap of him being, I don't know, maybe like Donu, when Donu like properly twats Ryo and he goes flying across the floor or whatever. That could have been that moment where they were like yanking, using those sort of old Hong Kong movie type techniques, which, quite dangerous really. I mean, I don't know what the health and safety consensus is these days in game creation, whether you can get away with that stuff still, or you do motion capture right next to a printer like they did in the Wisenet offices.
To answer the question, what's
Shenmue 3.
the development cost difference between Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 3? Well, Shenmue 1 also captured a lot of Shenmue 2 in it. There's 2 budgets mentioned. $70 million is mentioned quite a lot. Yu Suzuki quotes development at $47 million. I don't know which one's more accurate or not, quite frankly. But what I would say is you've still got a budget, minimum budget difference of $27 million. Because bearing in mind Shenmue 3 had a $20 million budget, but that's including your marketing, that's including your Kickstarter rewards, that's including your shipping for all of that, that's including production for all of that. So in terms of actual game development money, like you lose 25% of your Kickstarter money to production of the rewards, the fees, the shipping. So they made 6.6 million. So they've already lost sort of 1.3 million ish, probably more to fees, probably 2 million to fees potentially. So then already you're down to 18. Shipping. You're down to 18 million. Marketing isn't typically 10% of your overall budget. So if that's the case with Shenmue 3, that's then down to 16 million. So all of a sudden you're wow down on the money. Like wow down on the money.
And then with quite a few different investors involved, the split's not going to be as much.
So it's very, very challenging development circumstances for Shenmue 3. Profitability-wise, probably wasn't great for Shenmue 3. It made money. I just don't think it made as much money as people thought it was going to at the end of the day.
I wonder, those quoted figures like the 47 million and the 70 million, I wonder if that means that to create the games did cost 47 million and the 70 million was like including the marketing and everything else that went into that.
It's entirely possible because they did a lot of marketing for Shenmue, like the premiere events and everything around it. It was massive, absolutely massive. So it's hard, but if it just say it was 70 million, that's a $50 million difference. That's, you've got
I know it did make 2 games out of it, and potentially the Saturn build, right, is thrown in that as well.
It was nuts. Like, the amount of money. Like, say it's 47. Say it's the lower end of the scale. That's $27 million difference. So it's it's your budget and more again.
It's pretty crazy. And then when you've seen the headlines for the Sega Super game being 800 million, it's like, wow, that's not even 10 Shenmues. If you're going off the 47 million bracket, you're talking 20 Shenmues worth.
I mean, Sega also pissed away God knows how much money on Hyenas, which apparently cost them more than Shenmue, and they made no money.
What was that online? That mobile online service game
Sakura
that
Wars
cost them like 20 million as well.
That's $20 million they pissed away, and for what?
I don't know how they can be so salty or whatever about Shenmue costing the company a lot of money back in the day now, when they're happy to spunk, like you just said, like 100 million down the pan between Hyenas, Sakura Wars, Rovio losses, and that sort of stuff. You're probably talking verging on 100 million loss there. And yet they're still very much salty about Shenmue not making much money or whatever back in the day. At least the Japanese side of things, from what was mentioned back in the day,
The European side of it were a lot more willing. I think even when we were at EGX, I cheekily said to somebody, Shenmue 4. And they did say, we'd love to, but it's not down to us. But it's... Yeah, and that's the other thing. The Dreamcast sold. They had over 10% of the install base bought Shenmue, which is insane.
The ideal timeline. Shenmue 3 on PS3, released in 2009, celebrate the 10th anniversary with every model looking like the ones from the passport disc.
I'd have taken that.
Gotcha.
That'd look
I would-
really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen Shenmue 3 on the Xbox back in the day. They'd have kept the series running.
That was confirmed to be in development, according to Sega Europe, thanks to Nathan, who's got that screen grab.
Maybe that's where that screenshot came from, Matt. That one that we referenced earlier that we're going to be showing tomorrow.
Well, you never know. Hey, son, man, hope you're doing well. I maintain the whole
Hey, son.
Adam Dory stuff has more credibility to it than people lend to it. I really do. I like Adam Dory as well. Total legend. Hey, Jet Black Dan De Silva, welcome in.
That's interesting. Before Shenmue, Far East of Eden 2, Manji Maru was the highest budget game. Never heard of it, to be honest.
Nope. Never heard of it.
りょう何かわかった？
Bardic, Shenmue 1 and 2 should have been released on Switch. Yes, absolutely. Kenzo, if Shenmue 1 and 2 was launched on PS2, would be here waiting for a new Shenmue game. I think I actually need to record a video on that. It is in my list of things to do. I'm trying to weigh up how much of the technical stuff I want to go into, because I'm not very technical. It's not my bag at all. So I've got an outline of that video in my head. I just need to find time to make it.
Welcome in, Dan De Silva. Jet Black says, well, what's up, guys? Dan De Silva here.
Good to see you streaming. Stream every month on. Well, it's normally on the 4th, but we're doing it a day early this month.
Yeah.
There we go. Look for a Buddhist shop.
Ooh, would you agree with David there? Dreamcast and PS1 and PS2 are the best consoles to date.
Ooh. I mean, the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast for sure.
Yeah.
I'd go Sega Saturn next.
It's hard that, you know. I love my Saturn. N64 was a banger. A PS2 when it got going with the games sort of a third of the way through its lifespan, that had some absolute crackers on it. Like Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters 3 were really good. Obviously the Metal Gear Solids were decent on there. You had Yakuza games on it. The Getaway, they were really good. Bully, or Canis Canem Edict, or whatever it is. Just looking down there. The Devil May
Most
Cry
of my
games
PS2
were really
games, most of my PS2 games are those Sega Ages 2500 releases from Japan.
Oh, this is
good. There's literally a whole shelf I've got of them.
That's a good question. How close was the Shenmue MMORPG to releasing? There was a beta of it in 2006, and then it disappeared off the face of the earth. And
it did a hyenas, didn't it, Matt?
Yeah, it did. Literally,
there was a beta of it.
Yeah. And I've tried to get people on the interview series to talk about it, and they are really touchy. Like there's legal issues around that I can't go into because I'll probably get sued. But nobody wants to talk about it.
Agree with Chance on 360 and PS4. Amazing libraries of games. I think the original Xbox is a sick library as well, actually. That was my go-to back in the day. And then 360. And then I've been PlayStation ever since, which is unheard of, really. The Sega nut. I did have a GameCube, actually, but...
I had a GameCube.
That was my first Nintendo console, believe it or not. GameCube.
Outside of the Game Boy, I had the N64.
Retro Godfather, Mega Drive, Saturn, Dreamcast. Yeah. Game Gear for me as well.
一緒じゃないの？
え？
そうだ。
いえ。
何かし。
屋台街。
それなら。
そうですか。
I wonder how the Shenmue series would have ended up had it been on Saturn. It's interesting. They were quite a way into development for it.
Yeah. Like, it may have been feasible if they'd have released Shenmue 1 and 2 on the Saturn, and then the Dreamcast got like a Shenmue 3, Shenmue 4, and then maybe we would have only been waiting for the final game. 20 discs, true. The way it seems like the Saturn build was like the original outline, where Shenmue 1 wasn't fleshed out. It was like literally just a bit of a starter chapter, and then Shenmue 2 was the meat and potatoes of the game, I think. And then because they had more time, more development or whatever, they fleshed Shenmue 1 out. And then, I mean, it probably was Shenmue 1 up to the end of Guilin. But when they converted it to the Dreamcast, then Shenmue 1 became just the Japan side.
To answer the question from any old games, was it Saturn, Shenmue, or Virtua Fighter RPG? It was Shenmue Saturn, certainly in the footage that we saw. If you ever see it at the back end of when you complete Shenmue 2, obviously you can access it. It was Shenmue for the Saturn. And I do agree with JP Asher, it's probably gone the same way of Panzer Dragoon Saga. We spoke to Danny Russell briefly when we were at the Sonic concert, and he seemed to think it's probably lost to the sands of time.
The Saturn build.
Yeah.
Hey up, Limey. Limey's in.
Hey, Line.
Got a dojo stream. You did indeed, my friend. You had Casey in a little bit earlier as well. Lime.
Bloody... Where is he? Oh, there he is. He just hadn't rendered in yet.
His dad.
I thought the game had bugged out on me. Probably go for another 15-20 minutes, see how we go.
Oh, imagine JP Ash saying if Shenmue had released on the Saturn, it'd cost $2,000 now.
I'd have
Probably
about
would,
10
wouldn't it?
copies of it now, so I'd be minted.
Good investment. The fact that they needed to switch from Saturn to the Dreamcast should have cost a lot of the budget, so I'd say some of the budget of Shenmue actually got wasted.
Probably.
True.
Yeah,
Because they kind of made the game twice in a sense, didn't they?
Son's confident we'll hear
So
something
would-
Shenmue related next year.
Would you, because they kind of scrapped the Saturn build and had to redesign it for the Dreamcast, would you consider that to be a loss? Or, you know, like part of the mindset of a budget for Sega? Does that go into their sheets like Shenmue cost?
It probably would do, because if you're then essentially moving it to a new platform, there's going to be cost implications to that. But on the flip side of it, all the research that they've done, all the outlining, etc., carries with it. So it swings and roundabouts a little bit.
Yeah, like JP Asher says, like, not a waste, it was part of the development.
Smashing the outroot.
Sure, they reuse some of the systems as well.
Yeah, they would have done.
It's true, son. I mean, he's talking about it now, so
It's funny.
next year
isn't it?
could be the year.
Because if you think back, and I'm going back to our timeline episode, James, as well, which is season 1, which is 3 years ago.
It was like episode 3 or something daft as well.
I know. Jet Black. Man, I love the smaller details in this game. I make a detailed video of the back art, but with the OST for those who didn't get it. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, do. Post it up. We'll give it a share. Give it a share, because that's a good one. Yeah, I like the art book, actually.
Yeah, me
lost
too.
my trail of thought. I was going to say something else.
Yeah, I don't know what you were going on about the timeline map.
That was it, but I can't remember where the fuck I was going with it.
Is it anything to do with what Shenson said? Next
Yes,
year. I mean, next year
you triggered it. Yeah, you got me. You got me. Right, I'm back. I've got to go. Basically, if you look at the timeline, he starts piping up about Shenmue more and more, doesn't he? Sort of around 2013-ish, 14. Is that Devil's Advocate?
He starts talking about it again. You mean? Yeah.
He goes for it a bit, and then he starts talking about it. Then he starts talking about it again, and it builds and builds and builds. Are we potentially seeing something like that here?
Maybe so. Maybe he's waiting for the year to have a 4 in it. 2024.
So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's
1987 Lime. That is like the age of everyone in the stream, mate.
yeah, as I say, we're all of that age.
I was born in 1987.
As was
I
I.
thought you were younger, actually, Lime. Which is a compliment, I guess.
Oh, DLC time. I'm not going to do it. What I will do is I'll keep a save, and then
Do it as a separate stream.
yeah.
Nail the battle rally and stuff like that as well, can't we?
Oh, Battle Rally. I love Battle Rally.
And possibly, if you're lucky, guys, the little fat kid DLC. You say fat these days? I don't know. Rotund
Oh,
child.
you get in trouble. You get cancelled. Get cancelled for that shit.
Hey guys, did you hear that Sega is working on a massive game with a higher investment? Yeah, it's not going to be Shenmue 4 though, I wouldn't have thought, right? £800 million Shenmue. Unless that's why Yu Suzuki's perked up a bit, because like there's multiple games that they're going on about. It's Shenmue 0, Shenmue 4, Shenmue 5, and that'd be the dream. There you go, I'm in the 1987 Club too. How many people in the chat are from 1987? If you were born in 1987, guys, please let us know. I'd love to see how many of us are the same age.
Right, let me just create a new save.
You 1987, Matt?
Yeah, I am. Just create a new save. There we are. Shall put it there as well, and then there we are.
Chanson
Right.
says he's heard a rumour that Yu Suzuki's going to start an OnlyFans next year.
Well, whatever brings in the money.
1991, JP Asher. We've got an 85, Johnny Darko. Andy's 86, close.
For all of us, if you look at our
That's crazy, isn't it?
viewer statistics, you can see where the ages are.
Yeah, true. Very like male-dominated 30 to 40-year-olds.
Yeah. Are we going to get any updates of the DMP project? At Team Louis or Team Willeen Shoot on Twitter if you need updates for that. We're getting old. Yeah, we are.
We are. Looking at all the ages of people in here. Kenzo's 2001. Could be the youngest person in here. What's that make him? So he
22.
is 22.
God, 22.
22 younger than the Shenmue timeline.
I'm going to give Kenzo a shout out actually, because he's actually making his own game as well, which is Shenmue and Yakuza inspired, called Hood Story. You can see the progress and sort of updates on our forum, actually, if you haven't seen it already. Hell of a job. I've played a couple builds of it, and it's very, very impressive, actually. Come on a long way.
Like the forums, actually. Here you guys, come join the forums, get chatting with us. Come join, actually, the Dojo Discord.
Oh, yes, our Discord. Busy ass Discord. I love how casual Rio is here.
This cutscene where they just keep almost falling over.
Yeah. I actually think the cutscenes are very well shot in this in terms of the martial arts.
Like say, I guess, standing still motion that they recorded in the
studio. Because the fight scene with Landy, spoilers for anybody who hasn't played this, too late. That sequence is awesome. Reckon Rio kill Landy? No. No, there'll be some sort of redemption arc somewhere for somebody in this game, or this series rather. Yeah, the QTE timing's a bugger. Like, whoever thought that was a good idea doesn't realise the age of the crowd that are buying this game. We've all slowed down a little bit.
He says, I was the perfect age to play Shenmue, 8 years old. Imagine going from NES to Dreamcast being that young. It's crazy the leaps and advancements like from
It's mad, isn't it?
Atari, whatever. 10 years later, you're on the Dreamcast. Doesn't make sense, does it?
We're now in an era, I think, where in terms of like graphical fidelity, in terms of resolution, they'll hit a point, they'll hit a ceiling. But then I think we're in the era of sort of ray tracing, path tracing, and all that sort of stuff now. Like, you look at Alan.
Well, is it just technical terms? Is it just words, mate? Does it really make games look the difference between NES and Dreamcast?
In terms of like graphical presentation, the lighting rigs now, if you're with path tracing, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, the top graphics cards struggle with it, but it honestly makes such a difference to how the games look. I'm going in a safe Shenmue building, by the way. I have to. It's law. But I do think the jumps in terms of the way games look aren't as big anymore. Like, from the jump from Mega Drive to Saturn was massive. The jump from Saturn to Dreamcast was massive.
All in the space of like 5 years.
Yeah. I love this music, by the way.
Dream's behind again. What's going on? Here we go, the photo board.
There we are.
Who's that? I've got more hair now. That was when I didn't. I thought I was receding, guys, when I was in that era.
I love that one, actually. Tomato.
That's a cool one. But they put him in front of the Tomato convenience store as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Mm.
There's mine. I had hair there.
You've gone the opposite way. I've gone from a shaven head to having hair now You've gone from hair to like a shaven head. I like
Ooh,
that one next to you as well. I'm trapped in a video game. There's Aaron Barnett, by the way. That previous literally the one opposite the I'm trapped in a video game.
Oh, right, hang on. So over here. Ah, there we are. There we are.
Yeah. Don't know if he's still in the stream.
Hey, I'm Aguero. Welcome in. And there's Peter there.
Anyone else in the stream that's got a picture? You can
The
find
man
you.
himself.
Peter, yeah.
いい姿勢だ隙がない楽しそうこれは
Some names underneath actually.
Yeah.
See, they did ask for a signature. I mean, potentially that's Chow. Potentially you could forge forge a check with my name now because you've got access to my signature.
Hey,
Hey, up, Rhino, how you doing, man? There's Rhino. Picture there. Is that you, Rhino? Second from that far back billboard. Sorry, Matt. Bottom left, but the one next to the bottom left. Probably isn't actually. Sorry, Rhino. That's not you, is it?
So yes, we've been immortalized in video game form forever. We are technically immortal.
Identity theft from a Shenmue picture. Imagine you could get a passport printed, sign it away. It could be another James Brown wandering around China as we speak.
How are we doing?
It was the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter line. We had to spend a lot of money. Well, Matt got his for free actually.
Yeah, I lucked out with mine.
Yeah, but I paid like $1,500 basically.
Like now,
Wasn't the only perk.
If they
Got
did,
like
if they
loads
did
of
the
stuff with it as well.
If they did the Kickstarter now, I'd chuck the money at it without without even thinking
Easily,
about it.
mate.
But I didn't have
Easily.
the money at the time. I
I
just got very, very lucky.
like I say, I don't really have the money now, but I'd find a way. I'd definitely find a way now. Do like the Japan dinner. Or I thought about it, you know. The character busts were only $2,500, weren't they?
Yeah, they weren't that bad.
Weren't too badly priced, like in terms of how much they're probably worth now. But I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. I don't think you could back multiple times on Kickstarter. I think you needed different accounts.
Yeah, you
I think
needed
people
different
made
accounts.
separate accounts. But say if you had 4 accounts, potentially you could have ended up with a Rio, a Shenmue, a Landy, and a Ren character bust for $10,000.
おいずらかるぞおい待て
Andy says he's got a message in the guest book. Could have a quick look at the guest book before the stream ends, if you can, Matt.
Yeah, we'll get
Nice.
to the hotel. We'll do that.
They should have put the
Smooth
guy that LandDC used as a profile pic on the photos, on the forums, sorry. Was LandDC on the photos there, Matt?
I thought he was. I'd have to have another look.
Thought he was. AP says, surely another James Brown would be living in America. Nice, I like that. It's a James Brown song, right? Living in America.
What's the one piece of Shenmue memorabilia you guys don't own that you'd like to? That's a good question. Ooh.
Ooh. Probably for me now, that Crystal Memories thing. I'd like that now. But that is another thing. If I'd have known, and we spoke about this in the upcoming episode, like if I'd have known that the PayPal backing system would have been in place for 3 years, I could have saved up the money for that.
Yeah, as could have I.
But because I thought it was only going to be like 3 weeks, I didn't even bat an eyelid.
No. would.
これぐらいでどうですか
I'd like a Rio watch
なんか言えば
Mhm.
わかんだ
or
よ
one of the busts
こ
for
んぐ
sure.
らいもれよこんぐらい
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
俺が入れてやろうか俺がお客さん勘弁してくださいようちもこれじゃ商売上がったりだ
I mean, if I had an option, yeah, for sure, I'd probably pick another bust. All the scripts, I'd probably pick the scripts. I'd love the script.
Yeah, I'd love the
こんな
scripts.
ところで何してる
見よりゃわかんだろ焼きそば買ってんだ
ふざけるな
おっと怖え怖え
なぜお前が長部にいる
Got pretty much everything that I want,
That was
wise.
fast, Rio X. Flippin' heck.
お宝だ
What size? He translated it already.
He just translated it. It was all written down. I'll ping it over.
ってわけさ
That was fast.
さてともう一回りしてくるか
Got it here.
じゃ
Wow, dude.
Thank you very much.
レッドスネークかと思ったらレンか
I mean, you can tell he's fluent in Italian.
しょうがないな万来県へ戻って話を聞くか
Cheers, buddy.
Amazing work. Thank you.
We'll get that on the main site, actually, if that's okay, Rio X, and we'll give you a little bit of a shout out at the end. That as well. And then I'll try and work out how I can add that to the video subtitles. May require an extra video editing thing.
Yeah.
Really? Was she Japanese? I couldn't. Like, I was trying to watch a little bit of it as I was walking yesterday whilst working. And it seemed like she was Japanese and could speak Italian, which I thought was quite good, to be honest. Like, I don't know anyone with that as a language skill.
It's very niche, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, yeah. Unusual to see, like, a Japanese translator that speaks Italian, specifically Italian.
No, her Italian was
Or
terrible.
her Italian was terrible. Okay.
Do you know,
It
reminds
sounded
me-
good, mate.
It reminds me of the translator that Claudio Ranieri had all those years ago when he first came over as Chelsea manager. And, like, the translator didn't have a fucking clue what he was
Okay.
doing. He was translating all sorts of random bollocks.
Yeah, a bit like that bit in the IT crowd, is it, where
Yeah.
you've seen that where she's in the room and
いつも
pretending to speak Italian
花咲寺の
花咲
or Spanish or whatever.
That is fantastic. We'll get that on the site.
I did get a little bit of a sense like she was fumbling in places, like she was forgetting bits of the conversation as she translated it to you, Suzuki, or vice versa, and like had to kind of ask them again to reiterate bits and pieces.
Well, I guess it might have been quite hard for them to find anybody who understood Italian and could translate into Japanese.
True, true. Rio X, buddy, there's a bit of a niche for you there, mate. You've got English, Italian. Can you speak Japanese? A little bit. True, Matt. Andy says you've got the story beats for this area memorized well.
I don't know what it is. My Shenmue 3 knowledge is better. I think it's better than my original game knowledge.
いかにも
I just,
店を脅して
no, it just links in my head really easily for me anyway. There's the odd bit I
You're kind of like halfway through Niawu already, aren't we?
逆に仕返しされてこの通り
Kind of.
Yeah, probably.
Has
about a
anyone
third of the
got-
way through.
Like, perhaps not a picture, but has anyone got one of the other rewards that we could take a look at some point?
町の人たちは
I know there's something in this temple right at the back. Those little
それで
Yes, the thing
calligraphy
from the back.
artworks in here, I think.
I will go and do the back of guest book thing though before the stream finishes. Don't worry. Vietnamese, Hebrew, and
少し前
French.
に六角通りの先で
Nice.
一騒動あったとか
That's a good niche, isn't it?
I can do English and English.
せっかくいらしたのです。よかったら本堂でもご覧になってはいかがかな。幸いこの奥は
Quite fluent influences are good at speaking Italian or native Japanese. Okay. I know the guy that was in the interview. He's a famous YouTuber in Italy. Shenson, I can barely do English. I love the aesthetics of the temple and stuff around here.
I do, yeah.
Big gate. Looks amazing. Ooh. More AI talk here, Matt. What do you guys think of the dawn of the AI creating the possibility of infinite NPC conversations and content? Don't know if I'd want it in Shenmue unless the prompts were tight.
I think
Yeah,
it
you
could be useful.
You wouldn't just want random conversation for the sake of it, would you really?
No, I think it could be useful, but again, there's ethical things as well around it. You could probably, I bet you could probably produce a script for Shenmue 4.
I mean, on paper, it could help in certain aspects, but like creating conversations, it's like, I don't know, there's something in someone physically coming up with what characters say specifically. Like if you're just getting an AI to generate random dialogue just to make it seem natural, it feels fake then, doesn't it? Like definitely, like if you were talking to Shenmue or any of these random NPCs and they was talking about something completely random. Well, I don't know. Maybe if it sounded natural, but you knew that it was AI generating it, would it still not feel right somehow? I don't know.
It does need to be regulated heavily. AI, I think. It's just how they do it, because it's still quite let's say it's in its infancy. It's certainly in the public eye, it's in its infancy, but they've been developing AI for years. Like quietly behind.
How do they stop like rogue people developing it behind the scenes as well?
That's the problem.
Like even if they did regulate the major companies that are invested in it, like ChatGPT or whatever, AI is basically writing itself, isn't it? So like you could probably ask AI to develop AI and it could do it.
Probably could. Hey Clunky Mage, welcome in.
Hey Clunky. Nice to see you. Again, this bit of scenery around here is amazing. I love that you can see the Elephant Tusk Hill or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Elephant Rock. Did you ever do the thing where the frog mat? There's like a frog in there or something with the key underneath it.
Oh yeah, I did. On one of my playthroughs. I think it was on my PlayStation. I did a load of like the side stuff to get the trophies.
Yeah.
Oh, I got twatted in the face with a broom. Oh, and again. That hurt. God, these fucking QTE windows, man. I haven't got these memorised.
She'd make a good like Virtua Fighter character as well, wouldn't she?
She would.
Necklace. It's actually got good motion to it.
I wish they'd done more with her, because like you read the Japanese website of her character profile, there's a lot to her.
Yeah. He definitely had a lot more planned for her.
Absolutely.
Shrine Maiden. Is that like typical Shrine Maiden clothing, though? That character.
ちょっと聞きたいんだ。あそこの桟橋の船だけど。
はい、少し前にレッドスネークたちがあの船でここに。
見たのか。
Check out Shenmue World Issue 1 and 2, Andy.
It's all in
Got
there.
the side quests in there, true.
やはりエンさんはここに。
Oh, excuse me.
そいつらはどっちへ行った。
One of my sort of
そうか。
gripes with some of these cutscenes is like how they just go from like a major cutscene like this to like, oh, and don't forget to check the back.
Yeah.
Like there's more Shenmue fan service this way.
Cheers, Retro. Have a
I'm
good
looking
one.
for the red snakes. You know, oh, they're that way, but don't go that way. Go this way a second because you know there's a picture of someone's calligraphy this way if you want to have a look.
What we're doing next? Back onto Sonari Road.
Landy, yeah, he's behind this door, but don't go through there, mate, at the moment. Have a look in this room over here. There's a bunch of fan service this way.
ああ、ありがとう。
私シリン、リンシリンと言います。
俺
Got
は
another amulet.
葉月亮だ。よろしくな。
See, this is like they're just giving it a bit more here. What she gave him the amulet, they start building a
Yeah,
friendship.
yeah, yeah.
That would have been perfect.
You know, and there's opportunities there for like, oh, Nozomi gave me something very similar to this. You know, they could
でもやられたまんまじゃ
tie in a few things there as well.
話が収まりません。
まあ、気持ちだけもらっておく。
Screen space reflection on the water. It's horrendous. There is an occasional like a graphical thing with the water, right?
Hmm.
But I think the water looks quite good.
Save.
I always felt like they intended about 5 more chapters of character development for her. I bet there is plans somewhere that have got more to do with her. You know,
Yeah.
before they had to kind of rush and finish the game off. Like maybe she might have gone to Baisha with them or something. You know, like the team that builds at the end of the castle thing, they could have been like the team that ended up infiltrating the base in Baisha or something. Might have been more to it.
今日お兄さんが1話食べれば2億5851話目その証明書よ
Oh, nice one, Clunky. After having spent over 100 hours playing Shenmue 3 to get absolutely everything, I can truly say that I love this game.
レッドスネークの連中を見ませんでしたか。
レッドスネークああゴロつきのことね
何か知りませんか。
そういえばブンさんが何か言ってたわね
ブンさん。
うちの従業員よ
And that's the way we feel, right, Matt? After
ブンさんなら
I like Shenmue 3. Yes, it has its issues.
the
Absolutely.
more
Not
you
gonna
play it, the better it is.
beat around the bush, but it's a good game. It's a Shenmue game at heart. Yes, it has some issues. We know that. But it's not this terrible piece of shit that people try and make it out to be. It really isn't. I've played far worse games than this. I think
Yeah,
people
Kasha
were
says
more
he's got
hung up
a roguelike, that one.
on the
the
story
rug.
the story implementation, which I get.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It doesn't mean the game sucks.
Yeah, it's the story, isn't it?
But the story
The
implementation
game's
was great.
perfect.
これは。
Like you say, it's Shenmue through and through. It's just the story that
ブンさんはここにいるのか。
is unfortunate, really. That it's there in drips and drabs, but
Just not enough.
it's not as
It's
epic
enough.
as like it was in Shenmue. Even in Shenmue 1, the story's just not quite there, lacking.
聞き
But
たいことが。
I don't even think it's like what Flying Waffle says, that it needed to progress more. I don't even think it's that. I just think just whatever they were working with needed fleshing out more, and the characters. Like from the start of Shenmue 3 to the end of Shenmue 3, there's actually quite a lot of progression that's been made. It's just flat in the middle, isn't it?
Oh, fuck's sake. There we go.
Yeah, characters are more memorable than 1 and 2. It's true.
They are, but then they got that development that they didn't in Shenmue 3, so I can completely get that point. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. I actually pressed the right button there, it's just too late.
I'd say, like, even in Shenmue 3, how it actually shows you the characters' names as you're looking at them in text, like the bottom right of the screen. I still can't remember people's names compared to 1 and 2.
いえ、鶏なら少し。
鶏？変わったやつもいるもんだ。ところで、
It's such a cozy feeling game.
ことってなんだ？
Definitely.
店の人にブンさんがレッドスネークの連中を見かけたって聞いたんですが。
Kenzo says Shenmue 3 has the best gameplay in the franchise, in his opinion, combat and story aside.
物騒な話は勘弁してくれ
Those
よ。
bloody ducks.
何か知ってるんですか？
We got there.
新天地で見かけるんだよ。
新天地。
We got
あ
there.
の辺の遊戯場に出入りしてるみたいだな。
Duck heaven.
もういいかい？俺も忙しいんでな。
はい。
おっと、それから今日のダチンだ。だったきな。
Excellent, plenty
Yeah,
of money.
finds it maybe a little bit too simplified, isn't it?
いつでも大歓迎だ。
Once you get the hang
Especially
of
when the
fighting
tutorial
system,
says just
it's
press
pretty
anything.
Good. Yeah, the tutorial is a waste of time. And a tutorial.
But coming from the Virtual Fighter engine, where you've got combinations and very much an old school fighter.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks for dropping in, bud.
Cheers, Andy. Take care, mate. I think the issues with the way that the story is told, the character dev, especially for new characters, are very poor. Even the way that they introduced lacks pathos. If I think about how they introduced Janmin, it's already way better compared to all the minor PGs introduced in Shenmue 3. Yeah. Like say, even Janmin's like quite fleshed out for a very insignificant character apart from him teaching you
Yeah.
Gone, whatever it is.
ここで茶碗人ができそうだな。やっぱり。
Like that interaction with Chillin just is literally the only interaction you have with her until the end of the game.
Unless you do the side quest, which gives you a little bit more,
Still
but that should
a little
be...
bit more, but not much.
No, and that shouldn't really be a side quest in that respect.
Like even Eileen is fleshed out more than any of these side characters are. She's like an Easter egg character almost, isn't she?
How Ren got introduced, yeah. I'd like a bigger entrance for Ren, but we didn't really get one, did we?
Yeah. Kind of like what sounded like was originally structured for him. Like, was he going to show up in Bailu or whatever from that side quest? Or even, I think it would have been cool if he'd have shown up in Baisha maybe. What he needed, it could have worked the way it worked in Shenmue 3, but it needed more of a reaction. That was kind of like a lot of my nitpicks was like Ryo's reaction to stuff like seeing Chai. He's got no reaction to seeing Chai.
No.
He's kind of like, who's the creepy skinhead? It's like, you know who he is, Ryo. You know, there's no reaction, and the reaction to seeing Ren wasn't as strong as it should have been.
No. It should have been, oh my god, Ren, sort of thing, or what are you doing here?
And then maybe go into a little bit of detail, like you know, not that he's going to dispose his plan to Ryo, but
Oh, the dog's kicking off.
I think the only good entrance, even from a cinematic point of view, was Landy. Cool entrance, wasn't it?
Yeah, Landy was good.
I think they spent half the budget in that final battle mock-up. That leg twist, especially.
Oh, I know. Which is in the anime. That proves how good it was.
Yeah. Actually loved the Landy stuff at the end, including the fight. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, I know a lot of people were annoyed that you couldn't lay a hit on Landy, but that's to be expected, right?
Actually, we're getting to a natural point here where I can go back to the hotel.
The little QTEs before Landy was a little bit funky.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of people being annoyed at the Bruce Lee guy. But like, this is like the moment that Shenmue fans have been waiting for, and you know, this silly thing that's going on.
Ren just boots him in the face. It's like, oh, okay.
You've got the old man. The dude that just like squashes Ryo's face.
Yeah.
Hit me. Love that line.
Excellent. That heads us back to the hotel nicely.
And I mean, maybe this is what it's like with Chinese names and stuff, but I was a little bit confused juggling all the names of Mr. Sue, Mr. Shu. You know, these are a lot of like very similar sounding names. There's like two Yuans and the you know, Mr. Sue.
Do you know what? I do like the rain in this game. And the atmosphere it gives.
Yeah, the rain is perfect.
I wonder if I've got
Then
time.
Ryo's jacket goes like...
Yeah, it goes shiny, doesn't it?
Wet look. And you can even see, if you look at the building roofs, the rain trickles off the roofs as well. Really
this
cool.
Is a bit of a weird camera work.
It's a weird cutscene, I think.
It's interesting they shot this. Why? Because it's just a random shop, isn't it, you go into?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Shenmue 1 had stuff like this, didn't it? Where you just walk into a room and... One of you two owns a replica jacket. I've got about 7, to be honest.
I haven't got
all
any.
of the insert coin ones. Well, that's what I mean. They did a hoodie, a bomber jacket, a leather jacket, a fake leather jacket, and then a proper leather jacket. Got too many jackets, to be honest. One thing I don't really like is the font that they use for the shop signs in English. Really noticed, I don't think. Don't know.
And look, you can
Look
see
at
in the
that.
distance here. Look, you can see the water on the roof.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Trickling down the roof. Looks so sick, doesn't it? Yeah, the shop sign thing doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I don't think it's the worst font I've seen. Yeah, Clucky says he thought it was weird that the shops sell knockoff mirrors. It kind of broke the immersion for him. Just to add that sort of MacGyver thing or whatever it is. MacGuffin. Is it MacGuffin? That word where it's like a prop that's going to be used later. I think.
I don't know, actually.
That's
Gosh.
called MacGuffin.
Right, let's go to the hotel.
Kenzo says, can't wait to see how we were all wrong about Landy and he's in fact a good guy in Shenmue 5.
Right, let's go through the books.
あの
いらっしゃい
Oh,
階段かけるな
ここで
そうだよテレフォン
一回
国際
やっぱり
なんだよ
Phone card stuff.
there we are. There's yours.
How I got first message, I've no idea.
You got Land DC, Peter.
What does
in
it say?
there.
Sight? Oh, I'm sightseeing. Is everyone sightseeing?
Yeah.
I know he's
No,
visiting. Kevin
business,
Morris.
exhibitions.
Vacation. Okay. I wonder why I was sightseeing then.
I don't know. They
I
probably
don't think we
just
got
made
a
it
choice,
up.
did we?
No.
Yeah. Checkout dates are made up by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Are they in order though? The dates increasing?
Yeah, yeah, sort of.
Don't know what order they did this in.
There's my dojo username in there.
Quite a few names I recognise,
Yeah, there's a lot of names I recognise actually.
actually. Which is cool.
Aaron Barnett again.
Mm.
And then we're into sort
Jack
of.
Chen. Jack Chen's in the credits so much.
There we are.
Mr. Thank You Backer as well, I know him. George there, top left.
And then. What are we doing time wise? Yeah. That'll take us nicely to 11 o'clock when we do this bit.
Yeah, man.
I think I'm probably about
Me getting
halfway
up early,
through the
mate.
hour. Yeah,
Need to go
yeah.
bed early than I used to.
So here's some of the messages.
One day we should go through every single message and read it out.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the ones in a different language. I like these like a mix of people trying to be in character and then people that are just like,
Fuck
thank
it.
you so much, Yu
Yeah.
Suzuki, for this masterpiece.
So that's quite sad in the top right there from Dude Long
Yeah.
Couch.
It's a good kind of idea to sort of like remember someone
Yeah.
that meant a lot to you, like your dad or something, because then they're going to be forever immortalized. Sort of less selfish than what we did, Matt. You're just trying to get a face in the game. I remember when Adam Koralik had 2 pages. Remember?
Yeah.
And then
There's yours,
the
James.
they patched it out, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
There's mine. Recommend the carrots there. A little bit of a throwback to Shenmue 1. What was yours, Matt? You got
I'm
one,
not in
right?
here. I haven't got one in here.
Oh, okay. What would you have said if you had the chance.
Oh, I don't know. I did write something out once for it, but
Oh,
then...
there's Joe Kitchen you gone past, and George.
Oh, yeah, there's Joe.
M-
Yokosuka Bar
Matthew Kilpatrick at the top
2016.
there as well.
Yeah, Landisi, George.
Sammy Malik was on that
Peter.
page as well. One's around here.
There's quite a lot in here, isn't there?
There's loads, mate, yeah. It just seems to go on and on. Definitely money well spent for Shenmue 3. I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I'm glad I did what I did.
Yeah, I think...
Even though, like, it was a lot of money, it's...
God, look at that. Keep going. It keeps going.
It does keep going. Surprised other developers don't do this. Easy early funds. I mean, it gets a lot of stick, especially these days, right? If, you know, the game's going to get made anyway.
Oh, there's Landisi.
Matt Humphrey. Just noticed that's Shenmue AM2 podcast. Landisi again. He's got 2 messages. But yeah, there's sort of like a bad connotation, I think, to like asking for money for a game that's going to get made. But
Yeah,
I know what
it
you're
may
saying.
not get made.
Like a pre-order bonus, they could sell it as.
Yeah.
Pre-order the game now and leave a message, and we'll put it in the game for all eternity.
God, this is long, isn't it? There's AM2, Andrew.
Cool. They've like used loads of different fonts as well.
Yeah, which is good. Keeps it sort of not generic.
Yeah, like people have actually left these messages. VSSSSS. Jack Chen again.
I promise we're nearly there.
The last page is like a secret.
Oh, Nathan.
Starts downloading Shenmue 4 when you get to the last page.
Shenmue
Nathan, nice.
4, believe. Kid Marine.
There's this 4 messages per pages by the looks of it, I think.
Yeah.
Splendid.
Some of these are quite good. I am sort of scooting through them because there's a lot of them. Larry Lomas.
Someone
who was in chat
Yeah, like-
earlier.
Yeah. Well, there's that Lawrence. Is that the same guy? Adam Scipione?
Yeah.
Is that the last page, Matt, or are you just reading that?
I'm still just having a look.
Oh, someone left a copy of a really cool documentary.
Yeah.
So.
That's quite good.
Yeah, I do feel like didn't someone back on behalf of Corey Marshall or something?
Somebody did.
Corey
yeah.
Marshall's got at least his name in the credits, like, randomly. Oh, Sunil, that wasn't Shenson, was it? Seeing.
Christ, this is like.
Dixon Wu.
Ah, we're at the end now. Look.
Thank you, backers.
There we
Yeah.
go. Right, I'm gonna get Rio to sleep, and then save it and draw the stream to a close. Because that's probably about 11 o'clock. Yeah, 11:05. So we've been going a good 3 hours.
Good stuff, Matt. About halfway through Nioh.
Yeah, I should have it finished next stream, which means the following stream will be like a battle rally / DLC
special.
stream.
Well, we've got a good Christmas special planned, don't we, actually?
We do. Alright, save this. Right. Let me close the game
Stuff,
down.
guys.
Good stuff, guys. I'm going to draw us to a close there at about 11:05 UK time. Thank you, everybody, for dropping in. Just as a little roundup of the content we've got coming up, it's hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4 Day tomorrow. So there'll be lots of tweets
in an
coming
hour's
out for
time.
us over, yeah. Yeah, technically in an hour's time, or depending
Basically.
where you are.
Yeah.
It's already there.
Yeah.
So get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get everywhere. Hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4, hashtag Shenmue Anime 2. We've got lots of content and bits and pieces out tomorrow for that, including a video at 7 o'clock. A nice little did you know, actually, that James and I found through when we were recording the podcast the other week. Content for next week, we have a new podcast coming out, Air Twister review on the 6th, video review sometime after that, and a stream next Friday on the 10th to play Air Twister and show that off as that releases. Also coming up again, I think next Saturday will be another video as well. And there's just a shed load of content coming out from the dojo in the next week or so keep your eyes out for that. We'll also stream on the anniversary of Shenmue 3's release as well, because why the hell not? And
we're actually, Matt, the 14th of November turning 23.
I know, that's scary, isn't it? The dojo turns 23.
Scary, isn't it?
Jesus Christ. Hopefully by the time we're 25 we'll have Shenmue 4. That's
Maybe.
What we want.
Hopefully.
What we want. But guys,
and
thank
Shenmue
you.
0.
And Shenmue 0. But thank you guys for dropping in on the content. Thank you for following us. You know where to find us. But if you don't, and it's the first time coming across us, YouTube, Shenmue Dojo VOD, Twitch, Shenmue Dojo, Twitter, or X as it's called now, Shenmue_Dojo, Instagram, Shenmue Dojo. Don't forget Suzuki Pass, as Aaron mentioned in there as well.
Stream Elements must have heard you, Matt.
There we are.
Posted all there.
It's all there for us. We're everywhere. You can't miss us. For now, guys, thank you so much as ever for dropping in. It's an absolute pleasure. I'll be taking us out to Wish, as I always do. But for now, guys, thank you, and it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
Have a good one, guys, and we'll be back next Friday with Air Twister. But have a good rest of the weekend, and all the best, guys. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
し